Hello everyone, I am AtomiK and today I am with Rane and I am really happy to see you tonight for the Max League 6 qualifiers. How are you, Rane?
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the presentations. I'm very excited as well because today I will have the pleasure to cast three of my fellow players, fellow companions, fellow Argentinians. So this is a special occasion for me.
Yeah, because tonight Leta won't be available, so we only will have three players from Argentina. We'll have Rami, Nalgidan and Dimitri Kasov. So yeah, for sure for Rane it's a special day.
Exactly. I have like my time for revenge. I can just dump on them whenever they make a misplay, or just leak their most precious secrets to the Twitch chat, so they can. No, just I won't do that unless they provoke me. Just kidding, or not.
I have a maybe difficult question for you. Do you have one favorite player that you think will just crush the other tonight? Do you think they are just equal? Do you have a favorite maybe?
Well, regarding their skill level, I should say that maybe that's hard to say because they are all kind of like top notch.
Yeah.
Rami recently hit the top 1 legend. Dimitri Kasov and Nalgidan, well, they three of them participated on last Master Tours and went with a positive or at least 4-4 record. But on my heart, if I had to choose a favorite for who I want to win, I would say Rami because he is I've seen him since he started playing competitively, so that is something that broke into my heart, like how he made it to Master Tours, then GM, and now he's a streamer. So I'd like him to just get over with this stage and move forward to the tournament.
I totally understand that point. So okay, if it's okay for you, we can move with the lineups. So
Sure.
here is Nalgitan lineup. He's playing Priest, Aggro Druid, Safe Rogue, and Big Spell Mage. So his Rogue has been banned, one of the strongest deck right now. Everybody on Twitter is complaining about Rogue. It's only that on my Twitter feed. Rogue is OP. But I really like playing that Weak Priest. I have not seen that much Weak Priest on ladder, but in my opinion it's strong against most of the deck in the meta right now. Strong against Druid, okay against Rogue, against Quest Priest. It's also a good deck, so I really love that Weak Priest.
Yeah, I wanna jump over that train of thought and say that it only got better with the last expansion. It got some extra support, and we seen like last weekend, despite like the meta change, the meta game changed a bit after like 20 something buffs and 5 nerfs. But still, Weak Priest should be one of those decks that could easily get a win, or at least I don't want to say stomp in this last Hero Standing metagame, but at least get a win and take away, like as you said, maybe a greedy Ram Druid list or even a mage. Sometimes when they don't chain those freezies, they could be in trouble against a Weak Priest.
Yeah, good point to mention the freeze from the mage, one of his strongest way to win games. Sometimes just horrible to play against mage, having every turn your minions frozen. But here we have a big spell mage, if I am not wrong. Yes, it is. Not the most played deck on ladder. We personally I'm mostly seeing skeleton mage on ladder. So what do you think are the upside of playing maybe that big spell mage? I don't really know personally.
Me neither. Yes, there was being like a triad of decks, like this big spell mage, the like big spell mage, the extra large with Renathal for the extra life total, and then also the spooky mage that it was kind of like a sensation at the beginning of the expansion, and it was highly brought to the Master Tour. But regarding win rate, they're not that far apart. But I think that like big spell mage is a top notch. It's a bit higher than their rivals. I'm not sure about like the extra big spell mage, but that maybe has to do a bit more with what you're expecting to face more than the power level on the general meta. Because, like, remember in last serious standing, you don't need to win with every deck. You just need to bring good decks or use some of those slots to counter some other decks your opponent might bring.
I understand. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how that mage will be played tonight. So okay, if it's okay for you, we can move with the next lineup. And here we have Dmitry Krasov's lineup. He's playing also Rogue, Big Spell Mage, XL Realm Druid, and he's playing Imp Warlock. His Rogue has not been banned. It's the only not Rogue ban tonight. So enjoy the Rogue gameplay tonight. It's the only you will see.
Yeah, I bet we won't be seeing much of that rogue on the screen because every time it appears, at least it seemed uncounterable. Like some pro players were saying that Quest Priest was a good counter, but on the other side, some other pros were saying that it was nonsense. They were farming. Luna said she was farming Quest Priest all along ladder, and yesterday I saw some tournaments in which Renatal Control Warrior had a kind of a chance against that, but still, it seems like a powerhouse. I was just jamming a couple of games, and there are some games that it's impossible to lose.
Yeah, I understand. Sometimes you can just high roll and just kill your opponent on turn 4. I'm not even talking too much because you can just have a 30 attack weapon on turn 4 or 5 if you are high rolling. So yeah, it is very dangerous. Oops, sorry. It is very dangerous to see that rogue open on last hero standing because you can just get high roll.
Get swept, yeah.
3 times in a row. So I hope for Nalgidan it won't happen tonight. And the other, the Implock, just got hit by a nerf on the last patch. But it was not that big nerf, only the Vile library lost a 1+1+1. So do you think the power level of that Warlock is low right now? Because I have not seen that much Warlock on ladder, but in my opinion, it still seems pretty strong.
Yes, I agree. And on top of that, it's pretty good to counter some decks that are kind of like slow start. Even Rogue, sometimes it can be punished if Rogue cannot assemble like a turn 4 Draka / location combo. But I guess like it's just a fine tune on Warlock's location. It's not like a huge nerf. They want it to be playable, and I think it's still playable.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's only because of the new patch, players wanted to try new things. But I think in 1 week maybe we will see more of them.
Yes, that is a really interesting point that you bring, because it also happened, or it's kind of like same with Weak Priest. The expansion came out and no one was playing Weak Priest despite being one of the higher performers on ladder, because it was not something new, it was not something exciting. We have been playing Weak Priest for almost an expansion. The same with Imp Warlock. Okay, we've been playing Imp Warlock and jamming it for like 2 weeks, and now, well, it got nerfed. One stop, and then we get to try at least other stuff. Rogues, maybe trying to find the Holy Grail and make a playable Enraged Warrior. I don't know, and claim the title for the best deck builder from No Hands Gamer. I don't know, it's an open. There's many possibilities after that huge amount of buffs. So probably Imp Warlock lost a bit on popularity, at least.
Yeah, I think it's just a question of popularity, and the deck will come back, because before the patch it was one of the strongest deck in the meta, so only that small patch should be just fine for the deck. And on the other side, we didn't talk that much about it, but as you know, the Celestial got nerfed, So now players are playing Ramp Druid without playing Celestial. So we have some new cards. We have, for example, the Insatial Devourer, who is quite interesting. No, lots of new cards. Yeah.
It seems like the infused mechanic on Druid just works on its own, right? With Onyxia, Scales of Onyxia, Stuff of Onyxia, Ramp of Onyxia, I don't know, every Onyxia stuff that creates tokens and stuff. They just run, they just go in that deck naturally.
Yeah. I saw from Cassie a decklist with the Mana Giant inside. Dimitri Krasov is not playing them, but in my opinion, you have lots of deck building work on that Druid to do, because Druid without Celestial is something very new. You have 40 cards that you can put into that new deck, so I think in the next days, the perfect 40 for the Ramp Druid will move a lot.
That is true. It's time for refining, not only to find the best cards that the deck can bring, but also the best answers to how the meta evolves. Because when the meta is shaking and you don't know, like, you might have a lot of answers, but you don't yet know the questions. So it's hard to choose which are the best cards for a deck, because you don't know what to answer. You need to answer like big minions, which Druid doesn't really do that much. Do you need to answer like whiteboards with a spammy Arcanist, maybe you can put inside the mix and stuff. That stuff, it's how some decks are refined after nerfs, even though they don't get that nerfed. Like, the only thing that Ramp Druid lost was Celestial Alignment, that it was only like half the archetype. Still, we'll see. I think that, as you say, there will be room for improvement in this deck.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see how the meta will shape in the next days and weeks, because the players for that confrontation had to send their lineups until this morning, until 12 hours before, so they were on a rush. They had to put lots of work on the lineups, I think, because the patch just dropped a few days before. So yeah, it will be interesting also to see how the lineups will be on the next week. But for now, let's see if the players are ready for that confrontation between Nalgidan and Dimitri Kasov.
That is true. Like, what the last point you mentioned is super interesting. Like, both GMs and also Max Team League players. No, this is not the Team League. Sorry, Max League players needed to submit lineups in a short notice after the patch, so that probably will affect how, well, at least what they sense it would be the best cards and what they actual are. Also remember that these decks are tailored, or at least intention, for last year's standing metagame, which is not the same as ladder metagame. So if you're taking a deck and playing a ladder, bear in mind that you might need to do some adjustments.
Yeah, totally agree. Players are ready, so we should start very soon.
So once again, today we'll be having the group stage, which is formed, as you mentioned, for those who missed it, by Nalgidan, Rami, and Dmitry Kasov. Unfortunately, Leda had to forfeit from today, so he will not be playing. But that, for me, is nothing against Leda, but I get to cast more Argentinian players, so I'm happier for that. And also excited about watching the first competitive play in this new meta after the patch. At least it was like, if you start thinking about it, it was kind of like a mini set impact, because in the mini set we get like 35 new cards, and now here we got like changes to almost 30 cards. So that is that's an interesting level of big change. Some of them were like so insignificant that didn't like save the class as warrior, but others like Edwin Van Cleef, well, it's no longer a 4 mana 4/4.
Yeah. I agree with what you mentioned about a mini set impact. Lots of close to new cards. I don't know if Paladin and Warrior are just dead, or if we are just waiting for great deck builders to refine them.
Yeah. No Hands Gamer yesterday, I think, or the day before, was playing on High Legend and Dude Paladin. It was like a tempo deck and abusing those mechanics, and the Warhorse buff made a lot of sense and was super impactful. But I don't know. Like, it's not that I don't trust No Hands Gamer, but I guess if we give him like a rush warrior, a Russian rage warrior, he will be able to still climb on High Legend. That's what good players have. They just buy the bad decks the best way possible. Also, so that's one thing to take into account in consideration.
Yeah, I agree. But what it is kind of hard with the great players, it's sometimes they have just a very good win rate on ladder with their deck build, with what the deck build, but it's just because they are better than other players. So even with a worse deck than other players, they have a great win rate. But the game just started, so here we go.
Yep.
With Dimitri Krasov
Game number 1
at the bottom of your screen and Nalgidan on the top of your screen.
Remember, you can send your energy with the commands !bottom or !top to check and see who are your favorite players and see who you think or you want to win this first match. As we mentioned, Dmitry Kasov will be playing his Rum Druid against Nalgidan's Big Mage. How do you envision this particular matchup, AtomiK?
The Druid has to not be too slow to start to ramp and generating big things, because the power of that Big Mage is it can sometimes just herald some Balinda to play the dragon on 5, and Druid doesn't have that much removal. So if the dragons are going too early for the Druid, he can just be kicked out with lots of face damage in the early game.
That is true. On the other side, like we know, even Dmitry Kasab might suspect that Nalgidan will not have a premium start because he did not keep any of the cards from the mulligan. So that means no Belinda, probably no sorcerers, no sorcerers. Also, barbaric sorcerers. Sorry. That means that gives a signal. That gives Dmitry Kasov some time, and with Goof in hand, that also I think it starts tipping the scales for Dmitry Kasov.
Alright, and yeah, we already have Guff in Dimitri's hand. Scary card. But wait.
It's the best way to improve your hand. You can draw twice each turn, ramp each turn regardless of your hand. You can also even this stage start I don't want to say pushing damage, but at least making some board interaction, and this is interesting. I was thinking he would go for the clear, but he decided to develop. Do you know why one is better than the other?
I think he just went for the sapling because of that top deck Denatrius, so you can start infusing him. And yes, Denatrius can be not Denatrius still, but that Devourer can be huge against Druid.
Yeah, interesting read by Nalgidan that I think, well, he didn't have much other play either, but he was probably expecting this to happen. That Insatiable Devourer we talked about in the pre-match, it's now at his disposition. The thing is, does Nalgidan want such an expensive card? I think it's the most value one. And the problem is this one. What do you give? What do you give back? You have to
Deep Water.
Deep Water Evoker, but because your hand.
The only one.
Yeah, the best cards on your hand. Or choose
Mordresh.
Whoa.
Very interesting, but okay. At least it's a useless card for Dimitri because he will not deal damage with his hero power. But for Nalgidan, it could have been useful because it's just a board clear against Druid, and that's exactly what you want in that matchup.
Yes, I think that understanding that Nalgidan was so far away of activating Mordresh, in his hand was also an 8 mana 8/8 that didn't do nothing. So that's why I understand this going this way. And now we see Dimitrasov with little cards in his hand, but a few cards in his hand, but now with the power of composting, he'll start drawing and drawing and drawing. And also, as he said, infusing that Sardan Athreus. And now also that Insatiable Devourer.
He just updated another one. So yeah, but that Starfish will do a huge job because Dimitri's hand is very low of cards because nothing playable on next turn. So insane job from that Starfish.
Yes, you're denying like 4 or 5 draws when your opponent doesn't have cards in hand. That's huge. That buys Nalgidan some time because right now, like Belinda was super interesting, but if Nalgidan went Belinda, it was kind of an iffy situation for him because on the other side, he will face so much counter pressure probably after the draws. So that make him like take a little detour. Good cards in Nalgidan's hand, by the way, like Magister, Belinda. Those are pretty important because with Belinda you can draw, or you have guaranteed draw off one of your fire amulet. So if you play that before Magister's Dawn Grasp, then you will have another roll on that. So that's, I think, the game plan for this time of the game.
But okay, second composting played and Nourish. Okay, lots of card draw for Dmitry Krotov. He can also go for Insane Ramp because with Druid he can do with Guff, sorry, he can do a Nourish plus Wild Growth. That will give him lots of mana for the next turns. Yeah, I like going for 3 card draw with a Nourish. Okay, we'll just ramp.
Interesting. The Insatiable Devour is not yet fully infused, but it's just 1 minion away. So that could be a good answer for Belinda. But on the other hand, do you want to use that on Belinda or in the dragons that will come afterwards? Maybe it's about that. And on that side, I would say that it was a little small error on positioning for on Nightlian's side. If he wants to develop the dragons, they will spawn on the right. If I'm not mistaken, is that correct? Like by Belinda, not by the Starfish.
This must be the way.
Yeah, that's very true.
Wow, you were asking for card draw, AtomiK.
Yeah, here it is.
Here it is in the form of 6/6 on top of 7/7/8/8.
My hand is too full.
Now, time to go for Nalgidan. No stop. That's when the 8/8, the 12/12. And this is what I was saying. Look at this. They're like by this side, and this plays horribly around Insatiable Devour. Not that with an 8/8 he would have been able to play it better, but at least you wouldn't be losing Belinda in most of the cases to an Insatiable Devourer. And this is a turning point in the game.
But
when you have like 3 huge minions and on the other side your opponent just banished them as away.
Maybe it was just a bait so the Devourer from Kazov will be huge, so he can use his own Devourer to have more stats on his own Devourer.
That is true. I almost forgot about that. But with Nalgidan's full hand, he has a Devourer of his own. He will be able to bring those stats back. And even if he wants, he can even stall because there are 2 locations in hand, 2 Nightcloak Sanctums to just freeze that for what? 6 turns? So that 38-30 is not big of a deal.
So okay, lots of cards for Nalgidan, so an interesting turn for him. Maybe he can... Yeah, he will go for the amulet again. And
Yes, this allows to even play the Sanctum and freeze it and build some counter pressure. That's an interesting play.
But on the other side, Dimitri has the Onyxia to trade 1 minion, others with the Whelps, and it's also helping to infuse that Denatrius because you already have Bran in hand. Denatrius is already at 13, so the combo can come very, very fast.
That is true. We're talking about a bunch of damage. The Starfish here will unfreeze the Devourer, but also would leave it as a 4/4. So that's not a viable play yet. What do you think about Topior right now? Is it time for Topior?
I would like to see it because if you don't play him right now, you will maybe never be able to play him, and it will also help to infuse your Denatrius, and you have lots of health points, so you can afford to just tank some health points.
Yes, I agree on that. And this Raid 1 Onyxia is a bit faster gameplay because it's more stats right now. Probably Dimitri Gasol wants to stabilize before playing Topior, which is a slightly worse card in a sense. But I'm not against this, and as you said, that side of the Nathrius is still infusing 17 damage right now with Bran. That is 34. If Dimitri Gasov manages to lower a bit the health amount on Nalgidan's side, it will be only a matter of time.
Yeah. Also, Dimitri just got another scale of Onyxia, so it can be 14 more damage with the combo, so it is becoming scary for Nalgidan.
Time for the Devourer. It seems to have eaten a lot more. And, well, is there any other out than Silence here to deal with that 50 attack minion?
I don't think so. I think the Silence will be a great answer for Dimitri. But yeah, first, draw, of course.
Topior. No, he cannot do everything. He needs to... Yumikasov needs to remember that if he's gonna silence, he needs to use first the attacks of those whelps, because if they're silences, they lose the rush ability, because it's part of what is written on the card. So better attack before that Starfish hits the board. And I think that's the play, right? He is trying to help Topior to use Topior to control the board, and at the same time keep infusing that side of the Nathrius.
It's starting to be lots of infuse, yeah. 22, 44. It can just be lethal on next turn.
Yes, I don't see that. Well, Nalgidan can go out of range with Tongrass, because he could potentially summon some big dragons. And that's, well, 15 points of health. Well, it's 48 total, plus some, 54 on board.
That's too much numbers for me.
That's a bit too much yet. But also, Dimitri Gasov has the 13 damage on board that he could start trading to that Sleepy Dragon, reducing the amount of health on board, and also upgrading the infuses on side of the Nathrius.
Okay,
Well,
right.
that's an interesting play.
Yeah, it will help to clean the board. Why not?
Yes, and gets 2 upgrades also.
Yeah, it's true.
We need to, by this time, probably all of you there in chat knows, but the order in which the Reckless Apprentice shoots is the order in which the cards were played. Why did the Apprentice hit Guff first? Because, well, Guff, after all, is also a card. If not, he wouldn't have been taken into consideration as the first card played.
Okay, interesting discover here because you have Nature Spell to give you more rush minions, but Scales of Onyxia is just insane also, because you can even play it twice, because you have 18 mana thanks to Guff, so it's also helping you a lot to improve your...
That is so absurd. When you say that you can play 2 Scales of Onyxia in the same turn, well, that is borderline illegal. Still, was one thing I forgot. Every time we play a nature spell, we're getting a 3/3 with Rush. How is there any chance for Nalgdan in this game?
I don't know, because there are lots of health points left for Dimitri, and one day he will be able to just kill his opponent. Should be next turn. I don't see how it can be next turn.
That is true. Even a Vox, imagine. Let's just try to imagine the best box, but the best rune of the Archmage possible. What can they do? Freeze the board? Push some damage? Still, you're dead.
It can only deal not more than 30 face.
It's incredible. Dmitry Kasov is about to send 68 damage to face. This is what? Is this OTK Demon Hunter?
It's not fair.
A counter spell on the way. He just needs to
It can be
make sure. Yeah, it could be an explosive runes, but it would have been lethal anyway.
Yeah, true. So yeah.
So 1-0 for Dmitry Kasov. His Ram Druid takes the lead in this last hero standing series for the nature of the form, and Algidan won't be able to play again that big mage, and Dmitry Kasov will need to keep playing this deck at least until he loses, or, well, he sweeps the series.
Yeah, exactly. So now Nalgidan has to queue with his best deck against the Druid. So we will see right now what it is.
This is interesting. Like, this is a deck that I haven't seen yet, besides like 1 or 2 games on stream. This version of Aggro Druid. It should, at least it makes sense in paper, right? To go with a lower curve deck, an aggressive against a Ram Druid.
Yeah, it really makes sense. You can just maybe kill on turn 5 or something like that if you are having a good draw. Also, most of the druids right now are not running a spammy Arcanist. That was just devastating against aggro druid, but right now not that much spammy, so it might be a great place for aggro druid.
Yes, there are still a bunch of removal options. Like, look at Dmitry Kasov's hand right now. He has like what? Infinite mana, Wild Growth, Nourish. Well, he tosses off everything. Is he looking for what? Scales of Onyxia? Maybe natural causes for controlling the early board? I guess he thought that start, even though he had double rump, it was too slow, and well, never panic because rump just gets back when you're druid.
Every time. Okay, great. Jerry for Nalgidan. But oh, there is Guff, a rune totem. I totally forgot about this card, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. Let's explain what it does, because this is like a Forging Varens card. It's 3 mana to 4 that after you cast a nature spell, you give another friendly minion +2/+2. Seems kind of like a Battlegrounds card, but in a token-ish kind of deck against a slower deck that doesn't have direct removal to remove 4 damage, 4 health points from the board. This is a nightmare. This can scale out of control.
And it is already scary because Nalgidan has currently a 4 nature spell in hand. You can also play Herald of Nature. Interesting turn.
I think I would go for max guff value with new growth with both spells from the Rick Carpenter, and then adding a composting to that to make both a resilient board, which is wide enough, like 4 minions to push, and that keeps growing.
Yeah. Oh, he's still questioning. Okay, he will go for full guff value.
Yes, because if you think it in a way, the Herald of Nature right here is buffing like 4/8 approximately. Guff is giving 4/4, and you are also getting the chance of drawing 4 cards, which is an incredible payoff in case this board gets removed by Scales of Onyxia with a copy of of Innervate, or like any other with Flipper Friends. Oh no, those are not gonna do much.
Yeah, but you have to remove that guff, and the flipper are the only way to do it, right?
Yes, you have some alternatives like putting Guff on and then using Earthen and Scales on the zombie to trade directly, which is I don't know. I'm not sure if it's the way to return the way you return to the game, because you're losing the potentials on Earthen and Scales, but on the other hand, you're closer to Raid Boss Onyxia, which is like your turning point.
You also have the natural causes that can just help to trade. Okay, we'll go for the Scales.
Well, it's interesting that he didn't go for Guff, but in a way he did, because he went for the ramp. He's aiming for that Raid Boss Onyxia.
Yeah, very fair, and yeah, Nourish is faster than Guff, and you need to be fast against the Druid, so yeah, makes sense. But yeah, here look at that Herald of Nature, giving lots of health points to the minions, so the Scale of Onyxia will not do anything.
Yes, unless Dimitri Krasov finds, scabs and returns everything back to Nelligdan's hand. This seems to be going to a 1-1 score, because we have like how many damage? We have like most top like 16 with Scales of Onyxia, Natural Causes, or Leaving Roots. That is simply not enough to remove the card. Oh, a silence here? Could a silence deal with this?
Oh. The Convoke, but you don't have enough mana.
Because even if you put a town, you're already dead. It was a nice pickup for Dimitri Krasov to check his possible outs outside what he had in his hand. He was looking for a Starfish. With a Starfish, there will be 10 damage on board, and then he could use that copy of Leaving Roots to remove something, and at least he wasn't strictly dead.
I see. It was an interesting way to go. But okay, 1-1. Druid beaten for Dimitri. So now he will have to answer to that aggro Druid, and I don't really know what are the matchup of that Druid, because as we
don't even know the deck.
Yeah, we don't know even the Guff inside, so yeah, very difficult for us to tell what are the matchup of that Druid.
how do you think you want to, like, being a Renathal deck, you want to go with the Imp Warlock and try to fight the board from above, or is it the Imp Warlock ban for Dimitri? Because I'm not sure I remember the ban correctly for him.
The ban is Mage.
Oh, the ban is made. So yeah, you can go Imp Warlock or Rogue, which is, you know, both viable options. I'm not sure which one is better than the other, to be honest, because as you said, I'm not an expert on this aggro druid list, but I'll start paying attention to it.
Warlocks are friends to all.
I feel your roots in the deep, awakening the nightmare.
Regarding the Mulligan, despite being a super efficient and powerful card, Dmitry Krasov mullies away that Imp King Rafan because he knows that this is a fast matchup. You don't have the luxury to float any mana in the early game because you will be punished. And then, talking about punishes, Nalgina needs to have at least in his head the possibility of a Grimoire of Sacrifice from the opposing side. It's a card that it doesn't make that much sense on a Su list, but due to its efficiency, like, how can you not bring it?
Why do you call?
What was the question? Sorry, what?
No. I was just
Okay.
making a point that it's incredible that a removal card, like an AOE effect, makes room inside a Su deck, which
Okay.
it's usually just only minions. But like, given how efficient is the deck in generating tokens and also value trading or leaving opponents' minions on 2 health or less, this Grimoire of Sacrifice makes a lot of sense in the deck.
Yeah, and also because it's an AOE that is only affecting enemy minions, so it's just
That's
helping
true.
you to keep your board safe. Because if you are just killing if you are just killing enemy minions, you are just keeping your own minions face. So finally, that's just more face damage if you don't have to trade with your minions.
Yes, that is true. Inclusive, it's one of the few like non-symmetrical AOEs Warlock have. Because if I start thinking about like Tamsin Hellfire, like the new Curse 6 mana drop, they are all like symmetrical. They do damage to your own board. This, it not only costs 1 mana, but it has an upside to that.
Yeah, very true. And it will be a 3 mana 3/4. Are we playing in Arena?
Spider Tank to the rescue. Nagina's hand is a little different from last game. He has some spells, but they are not the ones you want right now, because the Natural Gossip, which is a nice tempo swing, it didn't do much in the actual board, and well, the splitted living roots either. He needs to wait a bit more, maybe infuse that Plot of Sins for 2/5/5s. Could be how he starts coming back to the board.
I don't see how Nargidan will come back to the board.
The only good stuff is that he has like 35 health to work with. But yeah, like even if he gets back to the board with, unless he puts some towns on or stuff, like the Warlock will keep pressuring that life total.
Yeah, Warlock is very good to value trading, as you mentioned earlier, and that's exactly what you don't want as an aggro token druid. You just want to keep your board, because all your cards depend on what you have already on the board, the composting, the buffs card. So yeah, very hard position to be for Nalgitan to have to play behind. Also, sorry, go for it.
No, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Tell
Also,
me.
what is hard for Nalgitan is he had to play second with the coin and that's not what you want to do if you are in an aggro mirror, because the players who is going first just has the initiative on the trades, so it's more easier for him to value trade.
That's super important. That's something we didn't address at all. It's that importance of being the one who dictates the trades. That's giving Dmitry Kasov a huge advantage. And look at that. Tokens right and left, and Greymore sacrifice that will just, I don't want to say end the game,
It was already,
but at least put it super hard for Nalgidan, who was trying to spend his mana developing board, and with one card, with one token and just an AoE effect, it gets wipes off.
Alright. At least the plot of scene is infused. That's a good point for Nalgidan, because yeah, 2/5/5 for Shimona is a great way to fight.
The question is if you go for a draw, like probably Topior, which would be the best draw here for turn 7, or if you use your hero power to clear off one of your opponent minions. I think that you cannot play around like the Bile library, like just killing one. You're gonna be dead anyway, so the best thing you can do is just pray they don't have it.
Yeah. I agree with that point, but here the 1/1
Right now,
just feel cheap against the 5/5 from Nalgidan. But yeah,
yes, that is true.
you can just
Luckily for Dmitry Kasov, he has some good quality refill with Rafam or Mischief Aim, but if not, this could have been like a turning point.
yeah. Because you can, if you want to full clear, you have to use the Grimoire.
I think the intention is with this is like fully infuse and make a resilient board to whatever Nalgidans can oppose here, and it worked fine. He was able to value trade and at the same time develop an impressive board like this 3/3s. Well. 26 damage. He's still not that on board, but will be soon at this pace.
And I don't know how he will remove those crazy imps.
Well, he gets something there. Hero power to get 1 health point extra. But still, like, this is how you live next turn. Great. You're dead, but you're not dead yet. Because your opponent can just shift everything face and you will be in the same position next turn.
Also, there are some lesser if Dimitri is drawing thanks to life tap. Not here, but
Whoa.
1 mana 8/8 is okay.
Yeah. It's okay. It's fine. It's just fine. Totally legal.
Can do something like Flame Imp, Giant, and then Grimoire of Sacrifice to just clear a few of them.
For maximum pain, you mean? This is just Dmitry Kasov playing with his food. The game is already over. But still, he's doing the most efficient play just in case anything happens. And there you got Dmitry Kasov leading 2-1 the series and putting himself match point in this first game of the group. We'll be having 3 games, and so don't go anywhere. And still, we have the ending of this game. Do you think Nalgidan will be able to make a reverse sweep against this Imp Warlock and then the overpowerful Rogue?
Naga Priest can do it, yeah, against those matchups are both winnable matchup for Naga Priest against Imp Warlock. If you have the 1 mana spell, the Shadow... Oh, sorry, the spell that is devouring 1 health point against other minions.
Yeah, Shadow will devour.
Yeah, exactly. It just horrible against the Fiendish Circle. It can just end some games very quickly. You also have the Samurai to clean opponent's board, so totally winnable matchup for Priest here. And against Rogue, you can just be faster than him, so it wouldn't be a surprise for me if the Priest can reverse sweep.
You made some interesting points, like despite the Priest not having many tools to play from behind, it still has some things, like Shadow of the Devourer, Samuro, and one important thing that Nalgidan has this time is initiative. And what's that hand for Dmitry Kasov? My god!
No minions to play.
Are you tapping turn 2 as an Imp Warlock or what? Oh well, you have a chance there. You can go coin, Fiendish Circle, or you can be a bit greedier and go tap here, then Fiendish Circle, coin, Grimir Sacrifice. Not sure which is the play that will give Dmitry Kasov most chances. I think the better the tempo, the sooner the tempo, the better.
Yeah. And here, no shadow for Nalgidan. It would have been just well played if Nalgidan would have drawn it. So,
but still, that Pelagos draw. What do you think about just double trading and throwing Pelagos into the board? What can your opponent do about that?
Yeah, even location isn't cleaning it.
You'll need what? Location plus the 1 mana spell, the cargo stuff. I don't know. I just don't remember all the names in English.
Yeah.
But I think that will be the only way. No, because it's 4 minions, it will be just 4/4. Well, that will be the only way of cleaning Pelagos. And if Dmitry Kasov had either of those cards, he would have played them already. So nothing to fear for Nalgidan here that could do an amazing turn next turn with the Boon of the Ascended over Pelagos for a massive minion.
Yeah. But what you have to know is that the Kyrian will be summoned without the Pelagos effect. If I am not wrong, it will be a 1/8, so you won't have a 2/8/8, but yeah, still 1/8/8 is great. Also,
Yeah, that's true, because it's after you cast the spell, Pelagos will get the attack, so before you get the spell and Kyrian, and then yeah, that's interesting. I'm not sure if that like makes Nalgidan take a different road, but still you'll be having a massive Pelagos on board.
oh,
Ooh, is that a Shadow War Devourer?
it is no.
It's not.
Wow.
It's not, and now he is forced to play the location.
Yeah, here he's picking Serpent Wing, I think, and also look at the Sea Giant that is starting to be not expensive, so we might see
that
a
is
comeback
true.
for Dimitri here.
That is true. Completely true. On the other side, it's like the Giant next turn, then you can get some draws, then you're kind of into Imp King farm turn. Whoa, a turn that could have been good. Nalgidan aimed for like the best option available, and he missed with not that many spells besides that. What do we have? Like, it was like 4 spells, and he missed the one he needed.
5, because there is also the second Strive in the Shadow. So there were.
Oh yeah, you can discover the second Thrive in the Shadow from the Thrive in the Shadow. You're right.
Okay,
No, so let's see.
the
Is
Giant,
it a priority to remove that Pelagos from the board?
I think it's just the best turn to Demonic Assault the Pelagos and trade.
I like it.
Because you saw a spell picked from Nalgidan on the turn before, so you can be scared of an 8/8 on the next turn.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. You might think that he didn't have it from before, but now after that that thrive in the shadows. He has it for sure. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing a best option than what you said. What do you think about Demonic Assault? Many people just dump on the card because they say it's just too slow for a tempo deck. Well, what's your opinion on that?
With Sea Giant in the list, it's a good option because it's even more token, but without Sea Giant, I don't see the way. I don't see the card as a good pick in the deck.
Interesting, that's true. You feel the board, and also the taunt protects your other tokens for them to live longer and discount the Sea Giant. Interesting take. While Nalgidan is taking a second wig here. One turn later, that Shadow Ward Devourer shows up. Oh, it was too late, just too late.
And yeah. On 6 you will have the big Rafam for Dimitri, but before you have a turn to fill, and this turn doesn't feel great for Dimitri. Maybe he will start by trading the bartender to see if there is something better on his top deck.
Is it too bad to just play the bartender?
Oh, 5 mana
You
4/4.
better trade the... Yeah! It's a 5 mana 4/4 with an upside, okay.
Oh.
It's kind of like a worst fungal monster, you know? You just sometimes did that back in the day.
I forgot that it was also buffing the demons, so it was buffing the Void Walker.
Oh, yeah.
So okay, it makes sense, sorry. I missed the point that it was also buffing the Void.
Because I understand that this is a, like, don't want to say awful play, but at least mediocre. But on the other side, you only just need to fill that five turn to then throw Imp King Rafam on the table and don't want to say win it, but you're pretty close to with a wide board if Nalgidan doesn't find Samuro soon.
It makes sense. Because yeah, Nalgidan has one big minion, but you can't trade all the imps with one minion. You would rather have few small minions, but yeah, Rafam will be very hard to trade for Nalgidan.
Yep. Not sure if there's like any considerations for lethal, anything you want to play around. Well, lowering the health of the minion makes some sense because now it doesn't value trade with the imps.
Look at that
Still.
top deck for Nalgidan.
I didn't see it. That is game winning.
Samu from the right.
Say bye bye to your board. And wait, this is like almost lethal setup because right now Nalgidan has or had at least 16 damage on board plus 4 from the cathedrals. It was almost lethal now. Well, back to square one for Dimitri Kasov.
Here it can go for 12 on Samuro. You can silence the taunts, but you still can't have the lethal. So you will have to find something to do.
Yeah, you can buff Samuro, draw some cards, and then look what happens. And even like Hero Power and Boon of the Ascent, it's a solid play.
Sure it is.
Oh, we're throwing wigs on the way.
You have the Queen's Guard at least to play few wigs, but you have lots of mana and not that much cards, so I don't know if you will have lots of value from that elemental later in the game. Wait, can it be lethal? No.
No, that would surprise me a lot.
No.
But still, it was some. I think it was a bit off, but well, it's lethal anyway. You know, if your opponent concedes, it's lethal.
Yeah, I totally agree. So okay, 2-2. Let's see if the priest can do the job.
Super interesting how the game pan out, how you mentioned, like the ability to come back from the board with Samurai and Blast, which is like a one-off, but still it was there. The top deck was the possibility, and Nalgidan just fought for what he had, and now it's game number 5, and let's see who of these two Argentinian players, and well, again, former Grandmaster Dmitry Gasov still a Grandmaster on his last call, due to take the series home.
That's not a mage, that's a rogue on the bottom.
Time for dreaming is over.
That's true. You don't need to concede as Gabby did once, one time ago on Ty's tournament, just because he saw a wrong class. Maestro right now, the rules for Maestro are just play Maestro if you want. If you don't, just don't. You don't need to put any special card backs or anything else. So Nalgidan just knows that is a rogue because his opponent cannot queue anything different than a rogue.
Yeah, and 2-mana null here.
I like this, honestly. I'm not sure if he would even just throw the Nyal, because next turn you could do one pretty powerful, I don't want to say pretty powerful turn, but at least a good turn with a double copy of the Serrated Bone Spike. You know, that will allow you some extra...
Yeah, you can do...
some extra development.
Yeah, you can do Graveyard, Gnoll, Bone Spike and Gun Fishing.
I think if you start with Null, Gun Fishing, then you can find a Prep,
Yeah,
which will also allow you to play Maestra.
and here it is. The prep
So-
is better than the Shadow Step, in my opinion. Yeah. Oh, okay, now going for Shadow
Oh,
Step.
he went for the Shadow Step. That's a play that I'm not sure if Dmitry Gasov saw, because I understand that this is kind of the same, you heal the Null,
Yeah.
but having an extra 3-2 on board, well, that would have been good also.
You have a 3-5
anyway,
instead of a
6-6
3-2.
and 3-5 and turn 3.
And another
you know.
3-2. Yeah, it's close, I think. Pretty close.
Developing your tempo while removing your opponents. You know,
Of course.
this is just the dream for any rogue player.
But okay, now the hand is... Oh, I was talking about empty hand, but... Okay, we know that there is one Shadow Step, one Prep, but there is a new card at the bottom, so we'll see what it is.
We're not even seeing what it is. That's interesting. And I think Dmitry Gasov just chose to push the one because he knew 2 of the 3 cards on the bottom of his deck were just not good for this occasion. So why not just wait for a bit more and just equip the dagger?
Yeah, it makes sense to help your Phantom to grow, your Ghost, sorry, to grow for the next turn.
Yeah, that's another implication I almost forget. Location will be available for next turn to just create a new Phantom that it's... Despite it can be silenced by the Shard of the Nehru, the only thing silenceable is the stealth, because the stats are like base stats. It's just a 6-6, no, it's not a 1-1 with 5-5 in buffs. So that's super important for those kinds of interactions.
One of the best answer that came for Nalgidan would be a Samuro on 6 that is also cleaning the stealth minion, because with the area of effect of damage effect you can just clear the stealth minion, so drawing Samuro would be a good thing to do for Nalgidan.
Yeah. I think, yeah, not only a good thing, but the only thing that could bring him back again to the board. because in a sense, there's not much else he could do. Dmitry Kasov, it's still developing, it's still drawing cards with that incredible top deck of Shroud of Concealment. And oh, 1 mana off Draka. I think you just keep that for future and just try to draw with gun fishing.
Yeah, I agree, because with 0 mana left, you can't have interesting things from Edwin. Oh, anyway.
Well, on the other side, Edwin Van Cleef, well, you know you have a Shadow Step on the bottom of your board. Edwin Van Cleef will be stealth, so you can just push here, and well, I think it's even good for lethal this. But if not, next turn you can play a card, you can just Shadow Step Van Cleef and keep that draw engine running if you need it.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, good point. Here,
It is
and
finished.
yeah, it's finished for the priest. Sadly, the rogue was too fast for the weak priest. So yeah, it's a 3-2 and a great win
It's
for
a
the
3-2.
rogue.
If you're an Alginan fan, don't go anywhere, because despite he lost his first match, I think we'll be seeing him again on this broadcast, right, AtomiK?
Exactly. We are just waiting to see if Rami is already ready, and we'll be able to start without waiting anymore. Because later just forfeit. Only one player will be out of the league tonight between Dimitri Nalgidan and Rami. So with one win, you can just go through. So let's see how that Nalgidan against Rami will go on.
That's true. This kind of like turned into a spectacle, a show of its own, because it's not who advances to the next stage, but it's more about who doesn't get to keep on playing, because it's out of 3 players, only one will be left behind. Nalgidan didn't start with the right foot on this group, but still he has the chance to win this next match and then just cross his fingers for tiebreakers and stuff to go on his way. So, well, we see Max posting some lineups for us on chat. Thank you. I want to thank him for inviting me for today. It was actually yesterday, but it ended up changing the day of the broadcast because of the sudden patch. Well, it was not that sudden. It got leaked on the weekend actually, but still, it was to give some extra time to the players to prepare. And well, some they did. Dmitry Kasov put his faith on the new rogue archetypes that are dominating the meta, and also on the old ones like the Su Warlock that was just good enough to take a win against the Druid.
Yeah, we talked before about letting that rogue open and the potential of high roll the rogue can bring, and yeah, it just Dimitri just showed us what the rogue can do, because on the paper, weak priest is is pretty okay against the rogue, but when you have 6-6 and 3-5 on turn 2, it's just very hard to fight.
Yes, because the good thing for the rogue on those miracle turns is that despite you just give the board control to your opponent, on those turns you have, as you said, the Gnolls who had with Rush to remove some stuff. Then you have the new spell, which is kind of like a 0 mana 3 damage most of the time if you can find the breakpoints. And on top of that, if you had developed allocation before, then you can do a swing turn in which you removed like 1 or 2 minions from your opponent. You develop 2 or 3 of your own, just completely breaking the board state that was present on the previous turn. And that is what I think it allows rogues to be so explosive, because even like if you're facing a slower matchup, even better for you, because despite they might have some defensive tools, you just can wait and make a bigger an even bigger combo.
The game just started. You will have Rami at the bottom of your screen and Nalgidan at the top. And Rami starting with an evolved Shaman, even with the new patch, where Shaman just disappeared from the metagame. Rami is here with his own Shaman.
So we're back on track. I was just not thinking about this could come so fast. And yeah, regarding the Shaman, the evolved list with Knolls, with the 4 drops that invokes the Baroness Bashi. It has some interesting implications this Shaman Rami is bringing. He was pretty confident, or at least happy about this Shaman before entering the match.
Okay, here the fast side is coming. No spell for Nalgidan, so we won't have a giant Pelagos. Good point for Rami.
Let me let in again because I had a little bug with the spectator mode. Nothing that has been seen before
Oh,
in
strange.
Hearthstone.
So, okay, the Null is finally coming for Rami. So yeah, pretty scary for Nalgidan because he for sure doesn't want to leave that Null on the board because it's a 10 drop. So if it is evolved, it's just came back as another 10 drop, so it can be Onyxia, Deathwing. So you just want to kill that Null.
Yeah, that is true. But Rami had to play it just not to get that behind on tempo, right? He would have loved to play it with a convincing disguised after value trading, but it was not possible. And despite not having any spells, well, Nalgidan is trying to go for it. And this will be I don't want to say huge punish, but at least stabilization for Rami with this Water Revenants with Rush.
And in the next turn there is a powerful Masked Revealer that can reveal a Glop, for example, that would be that is a colossal minion, so you still have the colossal effect if you summon him from your deck.
That is true. Any colossal, no matter how you summon it, it will summon their appendages. So Neptulon, it's something that could be played. Are we in wild that we're summoning Neptulon from our decks? Is that a playable card right now in standard, or is just Rami's magic that is gifting us with that?
You can
On the other side,
trade.
we can go Nyol and convincing these guys.
Or even better, Tiny Toys. You can trade Tiny Toys and convincing these guys.
Oh, that's right. Tiny Toys cost 3 mana. It was just... At that point, do you even want to trade? Don't you want the 2/5 cost minions
Because
there?
you need to infuse your convincing these guys.
Oh, that's true, that's true. I'm just reading cards, sorry. Yep. It seems that is what Rami's gonna do. Tiny Toys finally making an impact. Let's see if we get anything from here. Was there any consideration of playing Tiny Toys before making the double trade? I think not much.
Not that
But
great.
just
Having that SI7 and that
yeah.
Ancient.
Low health values for value trading. And for Summer, how like Summer is a clear with Bless. Even without Bless, Summer and the Cathedral it almost goes there.
But not full clear because Samuro will go at 3 attack, and you need a 4 attack.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, you have like the Shadow War Devourer for that.
That is also working.
if you want.
He will use it, I think. Okay, now going for Bless.
Not sure if I was being a bit greedier with that play, or like maybe he wants Shadow Wall Devour for another instance, but it was a possibility. But on the other side, oh, that is sad. At least that big owl just did something.
More bones to gnaw.
Okay, going for Tempo Null. Interesting. I was maybe thinking of Wild Paw because we know it's a great card, so it was a good time to develop it because only on the turn you are playing it, you are quite weak. So on an empty board, I liked playing the Wild Paw.
Yeah, that is true. Wild Percarnus is a slow card compared to Null, which is like a fast card that you can just play and have direct input on board. I'm also wondering, like, what is the break point on playing one or the other?
Yeah, both were interesting. Okay, Nalgidan will finally will be able to draw a wig with that Thrive in the Shadow. First drawing.
First-
If you are going
Oh, and
fast-
that is the problem of playing on the rope. Now you have some extra mana, and not sure if it's has the time to think of the best alternatives. But anyway, this seems good enough.
Yeah.
What a
Rami is shaking his
delightful
hand, praying for something good. And that's a great Neptulon.
Yes, because this trades like the two biggest minions right now. Now you sink like 8 into the Radiant Elemental, and then you can go Frostbite, and then trade with the Null on the Handmaiden.
Only leaving.
I think there's no better way for that, because you even activate the Honorable Kill on the Frostbite.
Yeah, you can't just full clear the minion. You would have liked to full clear to protect your Neptulon, but you can't, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. You can evolve also your own Neptulon.
That is true. You can get a 10 drop right now, despite not being any 11 cost drops. If you evolve a 10 drop, you get like another 10 drop. So that's another possibility, and I think Remy thinks that is good, and he gets a no Sag.
It is sad, yeah, I agree.
Never another Neptulon. Well, you cannot evolve into Colossals, so that was never a possibility, but still. Sad to see that he couldn't make either of the plays, because now he ended up in the same position, or at least a bit worse than he would have on the other play, because he's not even increasing or disrupting his enemy's hand. And well, just time to start again. At least he came back from a pretty awful position.
Yes, that was... Okay, he was lucky on the Neptulon summon from the deck, and got unlucky on the evolve, so... It's okay. Oh, the lab picked up. Yeah, it's lots of mana if you are playing it on the Valish Priestess.
That is true. And this is why, like, I sometimes fear Weak Priest, because it has some turns that it's like the old Celestial Alignment Druid. You just need to start playing cards when the turn starts, because if not, you'll miss on some decisions or animations. Look at how many cards Nalgidan had to play with it on the rope.
Yeah. Fortunately, Nalgidan is thinking quickly enough to still doing great turns, but yeah, on my own side, I sometimes got punished by playing on the rope that weak priest. So yeah, you have to go fast. Neptulon is back.
Neptulon once again. And one interesting thing that Neptulon will also affect that claw that is on board. On it would attack with 3 hands each time if necessary. But well, that is I don't think that is something that we will see happening, because probably Nalgidan will clear that. I'm talking about clears. Oh, the synergy!
Insane.
Rewarded for good ordering for Rami.
Yeah. I didn't even know it was possible. So great.
So how we set up the attacks? You sync your
You can't full clear.
your 4. Well, you're even on board at least, right?
Yep.
Your opponent will need to use some resource to value trade. You have Neptulon.
But
This kind of like mid-range shaman.
your hand is starting to missing some cards, because Wild Paw will be very slow. Frostbite at that point of the games will not do that much stuff, so I'm afraid of just Rami running out of cards and just Nalgidan keeping playing wigs for infinite value.
That is true. That's the difference between one another, and this is another stuff. Like Rami probably will not be able to. Oh,
You
the
talked
punish
about it.
here.
You talked about it.
Oh yeah, you cannot switch. You cannot never send 11 to face, but this right now is 12 damage to that 11, 13, and you have like 2. Then you have other 2 piranhas to close up the deal. This is almost a board clear, and this is almost game for Rami. After that choice from Nalgidan, you cannot blame him. Like, you never trade there.
Yeah. Yeah. You should
The
be...
sadness. The 3-punch Neptulon. Look at that. Time for a Colossal. Can we hit on
Wall of One?
Gigafin?
Oh, you can still clear 2 hands.
2 hands. That is something good at least.
Yeah, at least you are not dead, and I don't know how...
And yeah, and you have a board also.
how
Oh, you
Rami
can
will
clear
that.
Neptulon. How do you feel about that?
Um,
Circling the hands.
Neptulon is 14 damage, but Neptulon is not immune when attacking, while the hands are. So trading with the hands is great for Rami, while trading with Neptulon is just killing his own Neptulon.
That is true. You get an extra. You get something extra out of killing the hands instead of Neptulon, but this is like a tough spot. Even with a Colossal for 1 mana, Nalgidan is struggling. The Frostbite to eliminate Queen Ashara. Then you can attack into the main body of that Hydralodon. And then from there you even have Piranha to clear some stuff. I think you just play all your cards.
Yeah, the only question is how you will do exactly the trade, and you will need all of your cards. Will you evolve the Neptulon this time?
I don't know. It's so powerful.
Difficult question. Because right now Neptulon is only a 7/7 because of the trade that will go.
Well, yeah, on that side it's just a 7/7, and you're losing the powerful part that are the claws. Oh no! Just stop kidding me! Look at that! Another rush minion with another rush minion inside. This will never end.
I love how the game is going. Few turns ago I was talking about it just will be annoying. Nalgidan will just out of value the shaman, but the game was really fun. So I don't know how it will end, but we got lots of things that happened.
Running low on cards for Rami, and on the other side Nalgiran is, as you said, just regenerating weeks after weeks, and on top of that he has the Queen's Guard that will be what, a 6-7 right now? Oh, not playing the Queen's Guard at all. Wait, is this lethal? And I didn't see it? Nalgiran did 1 over. It was just too good to be true. Only 2 minions on board, and the power of the regenerating wigs. It gets here. Sad to see the evolved shaman go so fast.
Yeah, Evolved Shaman, if I am not wrong, was one of the favorite deck for me even at the start of the expansion. He built a really nice deck list that I played on my account, and it was just feeling great, and also not that common, playing cards that others are not playing. I really love most of the times the decks that Rami is building. He was also a great deck builder for Hunter in the years before, so I love the deck building effect of Rami.
Also, the Imp Warlock with curses that he drove or he piloted to #1 legend. He always likes like putting his own stuff into decks.
Yeah, for sure. And
now he has available what? Let's check on the deck list: Thief Robe, Ram Druid, and Abyssal Imp Warlock. That the deck we were talking. Which one of them is banned?
Rogue. Both Rogue are banned.
Oh, so maybe Abyssal Imp Warlock, seeing that Dmitry Krasov was able to beat the tempo game on that, and this Warlock has some extra tools for it, maybe give it a chance. Or no, or just go with the extra large Ram Druid.
Here it is.
My dear Malfurion.
My beloved Tyrande.
For
Right.
Mulligan, do you keep Goff?
Is it a question?
I mean,
Of
like,
course.
we saw Dmitry Krasov just tossing most of the Ram last game. I don't see. And look at this.
I see you.
Do you ever tempo Bran for playing Wild Blossom Seedman on turn 4? Do you feel safe? Do you ever feel safe to do that? I think you don't.
It really depends on how the board will go on, because even not for the even not for the Seedsman, but having a 2/4 on board can be okay to trade against the priest minions. Can help you, because the game can just go out of control for Rami if the priest is going too fast.
Yep, that is true. Like, Priest Dustin will not leave the board unchecked, and anything on board will be contested at a 2/4. It's not a really big challenge for that. And look at that, the discovery to clear up that elemental that for Rami probably is more scary than what we see, because we don't see anything that could take advantage of it. But now, well, you took one minion out of the equation, but you have one of the most powerful minions in this matchup, right? Pelagos could just scale out of control.
Yeah, you can just play Boon or just play Shadow Ward here, and Boon on next turn. So the Boon will be an 8-10 if you are waiting enough. Okay.
Yes, and also it would be this way it would be protected, despite the interaction we mentioned that the town minion is just a 1/8. Which is a 1/8, but it's just good enough. It's just 4 ticks of Onyxia on the way. It's protecting, and then if you are able to cast any spell on it, you will just recover that attack. The problem is that, where are Nalgidan spells?
At the bottom, it looks like. But yeah, even the Amalgam of the Deep cannot discover anything because Pelagos and Kyrian are not types of minion. But at least you have an 8/8 that can go face. You can also heal and devour your Kyrian. So it will be a 9/9 going face. So 18 damage will go face for Nalgidan on that turn. 20 with the Amalgam.
I count like it's 8, a lot.
Oh, 18.
A lot, just a lot. This is lethal setup, and there are a few ways Rami might get out of the lethal this very next turn, but I don't see him surviving longer because, like, where is my, how it was the 1 mana card that you're neutralized? Where is that card? It's just in wild. You don't find it here anymore. You just cannot remove big minions from the board being a druid.
This must be the way.
Silence? Silence for the win? Or at least for not the loss?
Yeah, because
this Kyrian is not a 10/10 from base, it's just a 1/8.
Yeah. So I just saved the Nalgidan. And also, yeah, you are getting another starfish thanks to the moonlight effect.
Oh, this kind of like a game changing, right, for Nalgidan, because he now knows that there's another one in there, so he cannot commit many spells if he's not going for lethal. But on the other hand, he cannot commit any spells because he just doesn't have them.
On Rami's side, he has lots of cards, but not powerful cards. Not Infused Devourer, Bran without Battle Cry, the Prince Renasal, so lots of cards, but not useful cards at the moment.
Let's see. I don't mean that. I don't want to say Rami needs to be scared, because there's not a lot of attack on board. It's just 5 attack, but any inner fire style buff like the blast or something like that, it will just give just transform into a loss. And look at this, he's just throwing the second starfish to the night draw, which is super interesting considering that, well, Nalgidan was not even drawing with the attack amounts that were on the table, but this way he can at least remove 1 minion from there and try to set up the Insatiable Devourer for next turn.
Yeah, also great for composting to play more minions. But that 1 draw denied might be relevant if Nalgidan is not drawing a spell.
Such an arena deck. Such an arena deck. Minion and minion and minion. Those handmaidens are just 1 spell left off refilling Nalgidan's cards, and Nalgidan is not getting it. How many top decks has passed, and now, like, how do you play? You're just falling behind with no comeback mechanism.
It's even worse than an arena deck because 3 mana 3/2 are pretty bad. He's keeping his handmaiden. It makes sense because it's the only way to come back in the game. 3/2 will not do anything. Interesting for Rami. He can go for the full clear if he's infusing his Devourer and killing 3 minions. He can also go for Ciotar, but no, Ciotar is not useful because there are 2 Unmaiden, and Rami would like to deny both of them.
Yes, it's kind of like just clearing a minion and devouring the rest to be safe, but you're just one off doing that.
Yeah.
This must be the way.
What is the best? Because you have too many cards to get Miracle Growth, right? No, well, Rami doesn't think that, because the thing with this is if you play this turn, it will just not only draw 3 but draw 4. It doesn't matter. Rami wants that taunt in the way and diminishing the health total from the opponent is... Well, I was thinking that maybe he would sink the other 2 damages on the 1/6 to just keep the health totals low for every minion.
And here is a spell for Nalgidan.
Your purpose awaits.
A spell and a good target, because that is a 10-12 for Nalgidan and... Oh,
Bless. He's one
maybe
silence
Banshee for keep
away.
drawing?
You can't clear whatever the 10-10, so Bless isn't doing anything. So yeah, drawing is the only thing you can do.
It's super interesting because in this stage, like any wide boards will allow you to Shadow Word, Devour, Blast, and send lethal. There's only a 10-12 in between. But with Rami not having Earthen Scales, or at least not playing Earthen Scales, Nalgidan feels like that the game is close still.
And
Well.
coming.
And this is how Druids win. This is how it all ends. 16, 17 health in form of armor for Rami, and stabilizations on 2 minions that could be silenced, but at least that 10-11 will not lose stats in the way. Again, doesn't want to leave without a fight, but I'm not sure he could do that. Is there a way Rami could find lethal next turn? Like he could find 3 damage. He played both Planted Evidences. I think he cannot buff his minions besides one of them Scales. Living Roots. Living Roots plus Earthen Scales would have delivered the damage needed. But, well, sorry. Both Living Roots have been played also, so... Not a chance in this.
Still not.
It's the last stance.
Okay, how Rami will answer against that? He can just make a huge taunt, but you can be scared of a silence, so that's definitely not what you want to do.
Brand Topior and Composting will give you 2 whelps for each nature spell. Not sure if that should be enough for clearing like the big stuff. The only thing you need to worry about is that 12 damage not hitting your face. Well, this also gets you 2 whelps and also a bit more mana ramping, so
That rope's burning again.
the druid doing druid stuff, 40 mana right now. Nalgidan proved that he could find like crazy lethal last turn, but last game I mean, But this time with no serpent wigs, well, just said that to get one, but not enough. 22 damage was sufficient to close the game. Rami and Nalgidan are right now 1-1, and Nalgidan loses his weak priest as deck, and will have to face Rami's XL Ram Druid with another stuff.
For sure, I would have think that Naga Priest was favored against Druid because it's, in my opinion, quicker. But so I was, in my opinion, it was strange from Rami to queue with the Druid. But finally, he showed us that the Druid can be great against the Priest, thanks to the Starfish.
That is true. You're completely right. And if we analyze the game, like Rami was on the edge of losing so many times, even with Nalgidan's hands like being garbage, because with like being one spell off drawing, being always like with just full minions, and I think that it was just a close game because of that, because Nalgidan's draws were not helping him, but it was. There was analysis before that because Rami decided to queue the matchup. And now, well, he went in unfavorable, and when you do that on last year's standing, that gives you a sweet spot. Right? Because you just won with a deck that and your opponent doesn't have like this straight up counter for it.
We still have the Nalgidan's aggro Druid, right?
I'm not sure if it's banned or not because I'm not seeing the broadcast, but if it's banned, then yes, you're right, because with that it will be able to just pass over. Okay, now you'll see this Morlock goof to see which goof is better. I feel if this Druid games goes half as good as the one we saw the last series, Nalgidan should win it. Don't want to say easy, but in a comfortable fashion.
We have double Peasant in Nalgidan's hand. That could be great. Because in the early turns, the Druid don't have removal, so just drawing infinite cards thanks to the Peasants is great for Nalgidan. You can go for Peasant, Coin, Peasant.
Man, I like that, because if not, like Hero Power will do some stuff that now.
Trog.
Well, you have a Trog. That's interesting, but yeah, you just need to go double Peasant.
What is it?
I guess there's nothing. Oh, it's 1-on-1.
Trog is better because Druid is kind of only playing spells, so the Trog is just denying.
Yes, my question regarding this is, like, if you're playing the Trog, you're forcing your opponent to hero power. And if your opponent is hero powering, is killing your Peasant. And if it's hero powering on 2 and 3, then it's killing both your Peasant. That's why I was just more inclined to go turn 1 double Peasant, turn 2 the Trog. But, well, I guess Nalgidan might know better, you know? I think he's been to Worlds.
Okay, that World will be on the next turn. Will be active. And right now there's not a single clear on Rami's hand.
Time has come.
So
There's just the tempo option for a spider tank. And as you said, is it time for Herald of Nature?
it is, I think. Because your minion will go to 4 health. And 4 health is not cleanable for the Druid.
Yes, you can. I think you cannot be greedy on this matchup, because in the long run, the Druid will win. Like, I mean, Rami's Druid will win because it has a heavier top end. So you're forced to taking the tempo option every turn, despite like floating mana, having to sink 6 damage into 4 into a 4 attack into a 4 health minion. I mean, is what you need to do.
Interesting trade here by Nalgidan, going for the 3-4 trade into the Rhinosaur. It just felt horrible for him, but it was the only way to protect the Trog from a trade plus hero power.
Now, time for getting more supplies. That Topior, that it's many boards on itself and might be like the card that evens Nalgidan with Ramis at least in the mid game. But, well, now with the silence, once again, Rami can start playing his spells and maybe get back on board.
Fish sticks.
You have few small spells here that you can play. You can kill one minion with the natural causes.
I like Planted Evidence because you can do both. Like, you can draw the cards. I'm not sure if for the ramping, but this way, you see, you just get the second Planted Evidence. You can now develop the Sentinels to protect yourself.
Look at the tiny turtles.
It's kind of 2-in-1 deal. Oh. How can we get another buff? Let's go. Aquatic Form. Herald of Nature and the Sentinels on the other side to just buff the whole board.
Yeah, you have enough mana to do it, and it's just huge.
Yeah, you need to trade one of the minions to make board space,
Yeah.
but still, it's a massive board buff.
Very difficult for Rami to remove it, because +2 health just means that you need one more wealth to trade it.
Yes, even the 3 health minions, that is true. They are trading 2 for 1, and I think Nalgidan, it's very well positioned here. Not sure if the Bower is not infused. You can play Miracle Growth, but you cannot do it in the same time as Earthen Scales. That combo that brings druids back to so many games. So where do you start here?
We just go for stunt minion. Having
10 cards for Rami and no playable cards. No trade also on the Smoothing Starfish. I was thinking that if it might be a good idea to preventively bump to make it easier to infuse the Insatiable Devourer. He wants to protect the health there, it's understandable. He also has like another minion he could bump later, but still
If he was
it's a hard
trading,
spot.
Nalgidan would have just trade that minions into the 10-10, so the health you made it lost just got useless because of the 10 head.
Yeah.
attack.
True that. He'll like Nalgidan is the one dictating the trades. Here and I liked the Nalgidan's approach in this turn. He, despite knowing 2 of his cards on the bottom of the deck, he went to see if he could find another buff, another way of removing that 10-10 without smashing his whole board into it. Greed of the Reef combined with the Herald of Nature, and this is how much damage? 11? 12? Enough for lethal?
2 off.
1 off? 2 off.
Yeah,
Oh.
2 off. But
And now it's the problem that I mentioned. Like, if you have preventively trade with a Starfish, now you would be able to kill it and infuse the Devourer. And then with the Devourer infused, eat 3 minions. That is not only removing board from your opponent, but increasing the health gain on Earthen Scales. That's why I liked that play so much last turn, and I don't know if Rami saw that or if he had another plan, but with Rami's hand right now, I was not seeing another out.
yeah, great point to mention. Yeah, I forgot about the Devourer infuse. So yeah, it was making sense.
Now he can go, he can make some hand space. This Miracle Growth is an amazing discovery, because he can do kind of the same, while dumping some cards on hand from those living roots. And I'm not sure he might be able to stabilize because he's in a critical spot, but still, it's not dead. At least he's not dead.
Yeah, because you will have a taunt minion, you will have lots of armor, so it will buy you some turns maybe to have the time to find for your Onyxia or your whelps, your scales.
The thing is, now Nalgidan's side plan gets online because
Happy with scraps.
he has Topier in hand for rush capabilities, some spells in hand also, but oh, those are not nature spells. Bad Jerry Carpenter, not looking what we needed.
But at least it will draw maybe some nature spells. You will get them at the moment, whatever.
I mean, this is painful, having to smash
Yeah.
so many minions into that, but at least, well, you still have board presence, but not for long. Now that the Devourer is infused,
And Onyxia.
Onyxia is also a good choose because it develops board on your side. Either way, this seems like a game-ending turn for Nalgidan.
Yeah. It is because
Even with 45 health, what can he do against a 14-15?
I totally agree, because yeah, even if Nalgidan somehow managed to develop another big board, Onyxia will be there to trade it. So I don't see any out for Nalgidan.
More resources, looking for some nature spells. This is not a bad idea. He has... The problem with this Theodore is I'm not sure if Nalgidan knew the interaction, but it doesn't happen. You don't steal a card from your opponent if you don't have any cards. And I think for that amount, Nalgidan didn't know. He thought he was just stealing a card from his opponent without giving him anything in return. It would have been a possible out. Imagine if you traded that Druid of the Reef for a Raid Bot Onyxia last turn. That would have been like a fighting chance for him, but unfortunately, I think he hasn't played that much Theodore.
It looks like I didn't know either the interaction. I thought the same as Nalgidan.
Well, the only way I knew that because I did it myself first, right? But well, at least I know now, and well, Nalgidan knows too.
Thanks to Nalgidan, I will be able to never make the mistake. Great.
Starfish for a possible comeback? Not really, I think. You can diminish the stats on board, but it still is 19 there. And the Nathrius, how much is the Nathrius? Just 7?
Too small.
Not enough.
Sea floor be the sea floor, be its own treasure.
Oh. 2 minutes? No, it's not enough.
No.
What can you find?
Rami will just trade and develop his own board. It looks like.
This must be the way.
Flipper Friends? Oh no, there's not enough mana to do both.
Yep. At least you
Flipper
are-
Friends to infuse the Nathrius. But I mean, you're 25. You have 25 life points. You're controlling your opponent's board. He is playing just 1 or 2 cards a turn. You have a full hand of a reactive and more, and a valuable deck with more value in it. It's just a matter of time until you just hit that Denatrius and end the game.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want and still win the game. You can even give your computer to your small brother and still win the game, so it should be fine for Rami here.
Yeah. Composting. Right.
Oh!
Well, you can discover.
Convoke is playable, right?
Well,
Let's
it's
see.
time. At least, let's die. Let's die in an honorable fashion.
Oh, you can come back maybe, because 8 random, totally random, not mana dependent. Okay, it looks
Let's
better.
see if we get something that impacts the board. Because
He's buffing
right
Rami's
now it's
board.
only buffing your opponent. Yeah.
It's also making my computer very laggy. Sorry about that. Nalgidan.
That's the druid's power, right?
Maybe it will make Rami's computer crash as well.
Well, let me tell you one thing about Rami. One of Rami's secrets, if we could say, when he started playing at, I think it was not only the master room that he made to 4, but in the first weeks of GM, he had to build his decks with regular cards, because golden cards would saturate his graphic card and make his PC laggy. So you're not the only one here. Pro players have that problem too.
Totally understandable, yes. But yeah, okay, it's fine. My computer is back after that Druid turn. But Nalgidan's Druid is dead, so he will have to sweep with his mage.
2 times, 2 chances for Rami to advance with a win, which would both mean not only that Nalgidan is eliminated because it would be 0-2, but also this is like the win and in for Rami, because facing the opponent, facing the player in a 3-player group that has lost, you just secure that with one win, with one only win. You don't depend on any tiebreakers for advancing in the round.
Yeah, exactly. And sadly, if Rami is winning this game, we should not have Rami against Dimitri's game, because we already knew that we already know if Rami is winning that the 2 qualified will be Rami and Dimitri. So it will be the only set point.
Look at that. So chat, it's your time to just cheer for the player you want to win. Command top and bottom exclamation mark, and you can that way send your energy to your favorite player. Today we're having an Argentinian day, thanks to Max, who invited me to cast Nalgidan, Rami, and Dimitri Gasov, 3 of my friends. It's nice to see them here, and you know, highly competitive league. This is like kind of like GM in terms of players. If you start watching who's playing this,
It is totally, yeah.
the location not quite uncanny to counter a minion, maybe, because spells, you know, the druid can efficiently get rid of them, like get rid of that that effect. Well, time for Rami to just get rid of most of his expendable or cheaper spells, because it's turn 5 and Mage has the coin. He can go Sorcerer's Apprentice on his mind, not that he can do it right now, because he didn't have yet a big spell to discount. But with a Deep Water Evoker, now he has. And watch out, Nalgidan could get some big dragons for a really cheap price.
Yeah, he's also dumping a 7 mana spell, so it just raising the odds for the sorceress to hit a low mana spell. But whatever, it won't happen next turn, because yeah, you can
Great ordering by Nalgidan, playing the coin first. And well, look at that.
Unlucky.
You want a discount? Well, not this time, my friend. What do? Do you Finley? Do you trade that amulet for 8 mana? because your hand doesn't seem too good. The only thing you could think of is just playing the amulet and then repeat it with the power, but that's still some random stuff. So this doesn't look good for Nalgidan.
If he didn't play the coin first and was lucky with the sorceress, he would have been able to play the.
I mean, if he was lucky with the sorceress,
Yeah.
well, just not hitting an 8-mana spell, that would have made it. But still, yeah, we at least we get Dawn Grasp right now. That is like one of the win conditions of the deck. So time to think this is not over yet for Nalgidan.
You can start increasing your hero power. But the minions are already big.
Yeah, so Rami needs to have some consideration on that, like not giving the breakpoints Nalgidan needs, if possible.
Odd minions health point are great against 2 damage hero power. Because 3, 9, 5, it's really hard for mage to do odd damage. Because also the skeleton are dealing 2.
Look at this, he found a way, he had the possibility, now he's scaling, and now with 4, well, that is also a tough number, right? Because most minions for Rami are odd healthed, as you mentioned. You 100% still the parrot, and you cast another miracle growth. You go for it. You just don't doubt about it.
Right.
Or you? Is it like what it chooses is random, right? On the hero power, if you get to just steal the Reckless Apprentice, it's not that you ramp. It's not that you ramp or choose to draw a card. It's just something happens because it wouldn't be funny. I've seen like I think it was Briarthorn play that as a rogue and just against a full board and overstepping his dial like 15 times, but never as a druid.
I think it's just random as a go between drawing and mana crystal. Oh, Mordresh already here. Reckless already here. So you can just...
Yes, that's right. We're far away from Mordresh. We're just only one Reckless away from Mordresh. On the other side, it's just one turn.
I can take him. Wait.
And yeah, as we mentioned, odd health minions are pretty bad for Nalgidan because he can't ping back Scalp Creeper.
At least this way, Nalgidan finds a clear. Because we're like having being able to upgrade last turn his hero power now gives him a board clear that is much needed, because he is kind of playing from behind. Like he has the lower value deck between the two, if you ask me.
True, that's totally true.
Do you just play the Nathrius just to have a 10 mana 10/10 on board?
Think
I'm thinking about it, but okay, we'll go for
stealing. The punish at the exact moment when Nalgidan was setting up that Mordresh. Rami denies it, and this is just terrible. Not only Rami has access to that game-ending Siren Athreus soon enough, but has denied one of the most powerful just mechanics the mage has. We will now have to rely on the Rune of the Archmage. How do you feel about that, AtomiK?
I don't think it can save Nalgidan here because his hand looks really poor. So even if he has some board clear or some card draw, it can't do anything. It can't just win you the game.
So,
I'm not confident.
Mass Polymorph. Then the Fire Sale. With that, you're gonna you draw some cards with that also. 2 Pyroblasts would have been nice also.
But you're also helping the Nautilus
Into tiny little pieces.
to infuse.
Exactly, that's right. Every dead minion is infusing the Nautilus. And I guess even it's not lethal, you have to throw it on board, right? Because of your 15 health. Aren't you afraid of like a second box could kill you?
Can
Because if not, what do? You just throw Mordresh and Earthen Scales on top?
I like that turn. It's the only turn you can do. And it's still a 9/9, so it's kind of scary.
It's not bad at all. Like, I mean, it would be frozen for a couple of turns, but, well, while we said that, 17 2 times for Rami, which brings Rane Jackson and setups lethal pressure. The only problem is that the Druid doesn't have any direct damage, at least this iteration. Besides, what, 4 damage from Living Roots?
There is another Dinosaurus in the deck that can also deal the direct damage. Because if I am not wrong, Dinosaurus is from the 2 mana spell, so...
Oh,
maybe
that's
I can
true.
find the other one.
And again, thinking of pinging his own face, not quite really. I was trying to think if it was worth to upgrade the hero power before casting the second iteration of the Rune of the Archmage.
Great Dragon.
Not too shabby.
8/8, 3/6, it's quite okay.
The only problem is that Nalgiran will need to keep doing this kind of turns for what, 4 or 5 turns in a row? Now, Insatiable Devourer, maybe with Flipper Friends first to eliminate the Sage Parrot. Well, Earthen Scales to just go over 16 armor. Oh, I even forgot that about the whelps. And now a composting just for maximum draw, for just drawing your whole deck. This is just crazy. This is illegal.
This is huge, yeah, indeed. It's...
I think even if Rami played like second composting for like mainly his whole deck, he wouldn't lose this game. That's how far ahead he is right now. Consideration for ramping and counting how many cards will he drawing. So he exchanged one and he finds Sire the Nathrius. So Finley for the miracle. Like what, a new box? Or a new Sage Parrot? Box is present. Time to go.
Let me remind you
What
who
can be
you're
done but
dealing
that
with.
rune? Dragons again?
If that 1619 is not frozen by the end of the turn, well, he will be able to keep it in check with one of his locations.
Yeah. Indeed. And do you use the
No
other one
skeletons.
to freeze the 3/3s?
Oh, I think you don't freeze a 3/3 because you want to keep freezing that 1619. Like you can tank the 3/3. But you cannot just leave that 16-19 and check for any turn. Nice board for Nalgidan actually right now, huh? Like Rami will have to work a bit to clear it. It's not impossible because he has like a million tools. And he has also a second copy of Earthen Scales there to a zillion armor points, but you know. Wait, is there any kind of lethal here? The Nathrus deals 12 now, it's impossible.
There are lots of health points still on the board also. It's 15 now,
15?
so you need only 3 health points on the board. No, it's not.
Is it not? Is it not? Is it not lethal?
Wait.
Whoa,
Did I speak
16,
too
12.
fast?
Oh, it's 12, 14, 17. It's one off, but it could be lethal, you know? If you don't try, you'll never know. It's one off.
It was
It's one off.
very unlikely to hit lethal, but yeah, still. It was closer,
Still.
but when I thought it was 6 or 5 off, but yeah. Rami found a good turn.
Yeah, Ryan found that the way of killing more of his minions to keep infusing, and also killing part of the Nightlands board to guarantee more damage points to the face. And right now, it's just a matter of time for Nalgidan. He could freeze, but even like what, 2 nature spells will grant him lethal, because 2 nature spell will give him 2 rushes, and the whelp will just finish the game. Well, or just Scales of Onyxia for a massive overkill.
And yeah, that's off, and that's game for Nalgidan. So
And
Nalgidan is out.
unfortunately, yeah, Nalgidan are one of the only 2 Latin American players who have played in a World Championship. By the end of this year, we'll have Pasco as the 3rd one. Is defeated in this Max League on hands of Rami. So Rami and Dimitri Gasov are advancing to the next stage.
Yeah, exactly. I will ask the players if they want to do a show match for us, but the series should be over right now. And yeah, if it's over, we could invite the players for a post-match interview.
I'll take some time while you're just handling all the production side to let you know that if you follow the channel, if you're here, you probably know that there will be a lot more broadcast of this Max League, that it's only on the 2nd stage, so we will still be broadcasting many of the most talented players in the world. You see, like, we're talking about Nalgidan, we have Rami, who is a former Grandmaster, Dimitri Gasov, a current Grandmaster right now, and, well, on that side, you cannot miss any of the action in this channel on Max League TV.
Thanks for...
Let's see. Do we have any answers on the players?
I'm asking them right now.
Well, so I do have a short time to do some more sellout regarding tournaments. If you have an Americas account and want to play in a $1,000 tournament, this Sunday I'm organizing the community gaming number 12 Hearthstone series, so feel free to follow me on @RaneTDF on Twitter for the information of this amazing event. It just has been like more than, like, this is like the DOS, we have done a dozen of these events, and the first place gets to go to Master Tour number 6, which is one of the only ways right now we have to qualify for that. There's still some others, so you have to be aware that this is one of the last trains going away while we wait for the players. okay, one more, then another sellout just to fill up the year. If you wanna be updated with the last rehearsal news and guides, I'm also a content creator besides a caster, and I write for Esport GG. So if you wanna if you just follow me on Twitter, I will just post everything I write there. But I'm writing guides, news, and some other content on that site for Constructor, Hearthstone, Battlegrounds, and the major topics that happen like every day in the game that we all love so much. So I hope you join there. Sometimes I cover some interesting topics, like the one I'm not sure if you. What's your stance on Renathal, like when it was introduced just a couple of days before the Master Tour? Is not just a patch, it was like a card that changed the whole game because it allowed for 40 card decks there. It was like a kind of like controversy because on the marketing side it's a good thing to do, but on the player side it might have sucked if you have been prepping for a lot of time and then such a meta shaker gets introduced.
And I just got the answer. Players decided to play.
Good. We're having one extra match then between Dmitry Kasov and Rami.
Yeah, initial match for the pleasure for you. Rami looks happy.
Yeah, Rami is happy. Yeah. He gets to play with his Evolved Shaman once again. How he could not be.
Yeah, and I'm also happy to see again the Evolved Shaman.
So we have one more match and then the action will continue on the following round. This is just a new stage, another stage for Max League, which you can follow on Max TV. This channel has a lot of action and from the best players in the world, as we mentioned. Today Max is not with us, but he usually casts and besides organizing the event, so just don't forget to give him also a follow on social media to be up to date with all the news from Max League, which happened just day by day. Today we had this week we had like a hiatus for Master Tours and patch, but next week will be full throttle.
Very true, yeah. To point out. So okay, we're waiting them to challenge each other.
Interesting. And while we talk about that, just do you want do you want to bet? Do you want to speculate a bit? Because how likely do you think is how likely do you think is that we get a like Edwin Van Cleef hotfix next week?
No, not next week because
No,
it's only strong. It's not overcheat or.
I mean, Aleko said that if they have seen Rogue performing as they did in Masters Tour, they wouldn't have buffed Edwin. And right now, like, everyone is complaining about it.
2 weeks, at least, I think.
Yeah, 2 weeks. I was just wondering because,
2 weeks.
well, you're right on the 2 weeks or 3 weeks because we should be expecting a big patch on Battlegrounds by the end of the month with a new season and stuff. But on the other side, they usually don't do any balance changes on big patches. That's why I was wondering, maybe a hotfix before like GM ends, just due to like fan service and just some corrections. But it's still, what do you think, chat over there? Is Edwin tolerable? Can we stand that, or is it just another frustrating interaction that is not that healthy to the game? Someone said that Van Cleef is just a 3-mana 3/3 with Battlecry draw card, but right now it's proving to be a lot more than that.
And also that they don't want to hurry too much with the nerfs, etc. Because sometimes a card just seems too great, but the meta can shape over, so it just become regulated by the players themselves. Because if you are playing counter to the strongest deck in the game, the strongest deck in the game isn't the strongest deck in the metagame, so at least we will have to wait a few days to see how the things are shaping.
Yeah, that is true. Like, I think we sometimes rush into conclusions, like by reading like everyone's takes on the matter, and it's actually not a stable situation. It's not like as you said, the meta is not solved like by a mile, and it's just, it might just take that other decks find a way to face Rogue with like the tools, the counter pressure, or whatever they need. To prevent it to be an oppressive deck. So on that side, like at some ranks it's not a problem, because like I've seen Rogue on the like 50% win rate. I think it was like until Diamond 5. But as you said, it's also like the meta is super fresh, and also people are trying more stuff that could end up bringing some new archetypes that balance the meta in a different way while we wait for Dmitry Kasov. That are they already in game, or is this a test game?
Started. Sorry.
No problem. I was just wondering if I was missing any of the action while we just they are still in the mulligan. So
Seeks balance in all things.
Rami playing once again with his signature evolved shaman against Dmitry Kasov Ram's Druid. A better hand for Rami, huh? Double null, Muck Pulse in hand, convincing these guys. Is this the game that Rami steals?
Sorry?
I mean, is this a game that Rami could steal
Oh.
with a quick evolve and a powerful 10 drop from the early game?
Without the coin, it's far from having the null.
That is true. Look at that. Hero powering right and left.
All it takes is love, care, and death.
On the other side, Dmitry Kasov hasn't, like,
Bones take
he has ramped every turn, like for the last turns. Miracle Growth, Wild Growth, then Seedsman, now he has Nourish. We're going to infinite mana. What? Well, I mean, well, if you draw like that, you don't have any problems on just not just hitting a card that you can draw with Moonlight Guidance. But it was a bit risky to play it in that order, I guess. On the other side, if in the other order you could not play both, so it's understandable that Dmitry also wanted to hurry the thing.
Oh, there is the Devourer that can be insane to clean some big evolved minion.
Slips away. A blunder.
That is true, but it doesn't take
bones take
time for evolving. Hello, my friend. Mook pulls in the board.
job's done.
And an 8-8 with Russian Wind Fury. But look at that. What you already knew. The top of the deck available for Dmitry Kasov.
Yeah. Great eating.
What a delightful
Okay,
bite.
is there?
Is that an Neptulon?
It's not.
It's not a Neptulon. And now, well, is it there a window of opportunity for Rami with this board? Because Dmitry Kasov is not doing much this turn, so he might find a way. Oh, I missed the 2 damage. The 2 damage makes it so different because And now it cleans both targets, both evolving targets. It just... No, this is just disgusting. Time for tiny toys and evolve and a miracle evolve.
What
There's
is
not that much health on board for Dimitri Gasov, so...
Smite again.
Well, this is important.
388. Not true.
Do we have a battle master somewhere near to give them Whim Fury?
You can get by an evolve because you have 5 cost minions. So by evolving it, you can have a 6 cost minion. So you have ways to summon a battle master. You don't have the board space to play Glug. It would have been great to play Glug and trade. Okay, we will still go for it. Because yeah, it's so great here. Also playing well around the Devourer. Because here you can't hit both Glug and the 8-8.
Amazing pressure. And how much damage is that? 32? One off? Lethal with Brucan? Can Dimitri Gasov do something? I thought he was just so far ahead, but that tiny toys play? That changed everything. Let's check. Only 7 damage. For the Nathrius, 6 damage, 12 damage with the Onyxia Scales. That could not clear 2 big minions, so probably not trading. And trying to put as much chance in the way, and also like good way of infusing the Nathrius.
Yeah. Oh, schooling can be lots of damage. With
Okay. Oh, this is
even
lethal?
more.
No.
21, 30, 33, exactly. It's lethal.
Yeah?
It is,
Oh.
I think.
Wow,
Yeah.
it was just so over lethal. I was just not counting, like when numbers go over like 2 figures, I just don't count anymore. Like my head explodes. It's just, I'm just an arena player. That's too big for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's also 2 hours of casting, so it's starting to be hard to count. So.
That is true also. But well, there was like a 20 something on board. Rami wins with his signature deck. So we will be seeing that once again. Rami probably is just smiling and happy for the chance of showing off his favorite deck on stream once more.
True. I'm really happy to see that Evil Shaman on stream. I love the gameplay of the deck is, but here is a hard matchup, I think.
Yeah, but it's like... Sorry for that. It's like a faster deck, right? I'm not sure the shaman will be able to hold the warlock off the board.
Alright.
So, Flame Imp to bring the pressure. No Imp can Imp King Rafam game because you want to be faster than that. And an interesting follow up with 1, 2, 3 curve to try to at least draw 4 cards if nothing better comes to hand.
Yeah, I think the warlock should be too fast for the shaman, but yeah. The piranhas can help the shaman to survive in the early turn. Also, if the null is top deck, On the next turn, Rami can just do a Nyol, coin. Oh no, it doesn't have the evolve, sorry. So yeah, it's whatever not possible to do.
Yeah, but on the other hand, like Rami's hand for this matchup is like, what else could you just ask for? He has, as you said, the piranhas, then the wind chill if Dmitry Kasov manages to build up a big minion, the command of Neptulon, and now he has to convincing these guys for a possible evolve if he somehow gets a Nyol. Even better than that, no? Is this a pseudo war clear? Like you're leaving 2 imps on board, but then you have the Maelstrom portal for completing the turn?
Yeah, the only bad point is you will infuse the mischievous imp. So the next turn will be very strong for Dimitri.
These books are ruined.
True. But I guess that we will cross that river when we get there, right? Is there a better play?
There is not. It's a great play, whatever.
Yeah. Good thing for Rami that he has already had Primordial Wave, a good good card to disable any huge buffs from the Warlock, but on the other hand, what we're seeing is that the Warlock doesn't have any buffer, just consistent board pressure.
Yeah, and devolving 3/3 for 4 mana. For 3 mana can just be a buff, so you definitely don't want to use it right now. But as you mentioned, the command of Neptulon can be great here because you can value trade the 3 8x imp.
Yes, it allows you to be ahead on board, and that is super important against a board centric deck like the Sulok. And also, it's not that you're just buying time. You have kind of like a game plan with Brukan in hand now, so that might be worth it to just have there. Like here, Rami could use the coin to freeze the mischievous imp to guarantee his 2 elementals to survive, but I'm not sure that's necessary. You might need the coin for turn 7 Brukan.
Sorry, we don't have any ink.
Continuing with the pressure. This is a tough spot.
I think you start with Foresight, whatever. Or with Wind Chill. Frostbite is great.
Yes. You have time. You even have mana for the wind chill, and this buys you enough time for Brukan to be an option.
Yeah.
Well, that's just an optimistic Neptulon, right? In this matchup.
Slowly, but we are getting turn 7 on the next turn, so maybe we will see it.
Dmitry Kasov trying to develop the most stats on board possible. Don't want to say to set up a lethal, but at least to set up a lethal setup. Because this way, with more imps on board, he could go for impending catastrophe, and that will help. And when I was thinking that it was possible for Rami to go for a fast Brukan, he finds a better way.
This is a great turn, denying the opponent board.
Yes. Because it deactivates the catastrophe, also it saves the coin for a turn 9 Neptulon.
Mm-hmm.
This might be a game-winning play by Rami.
It looks like, yeah. You can Maelstrom, trade, and evolve back. Okay, no, it's even better, sorry. Because yeah, you can clear and develop your taunt minions.
this, you heal yourself. Oh, he does damage to remove. It's kind of like the same. Even better because you're not worried about direct damage from the Warlock. It's just ward presence.
Yeah. Okay, here with the silence and the bartender, you have some face damage. But not enough. He will
Yeah, he
trade,
needs
so.
to. Sea Giant is playable. Too late for buy library. The problem with Sea Giant is it's lost on board against that Onyxia. And this is a concede, and Rane wins once again with a 100% win rate. Evolve Shaman. How do you see that? New meta breaker?
Only 100% win rate in the Dimitri Kazov opposition. Because it was a 0% one
you know how this is, yeah.
Nalgidan. I'm not gonna lie to the people in the chat.
Play it at your own risk, because yep, this might not be an easy deck to pilot, nor a consistent one, but whoa, the high rolls, those are nice. And now Dimitri Kazov has one last deck to play against Rane, and if he wants to win, he will need to do reverse sweep with his mage, his big spell mage.
Okay, the Farwatch post can be great, I think, in the matchup. Oh no, it will just take the frostbite on his face, so it will just do nothing.
Yeah, still, you just play it because it's a good minion. The problem is, as you said, the frostbite will punish you because on the Microsoft side, although like this will cost you to use the coin just to, you know, just to lose, just not to have it in hand, and that he will need to pay for that 1 mana at least, because it's, you pay 2 mana and you get 1 mana back. But you want to play next turn, and like Dimitrios wanted to play turn 4 the Walker Evoker and turn 5 coin Barbaric Sources, and that's not a possible play anymore.
That's true, yeah. No coin Barbaric on the next turn for Rane. Very huge. So, okay, you can schooling to have more cards in hand for your knowledge. Cute squirrel.
Yes, and this command of Neptulon, you know, you're exposing yourself to a Rockless Apprentice, but you cannot play like the whole game from behind. Being a shaman, you need to get yourself on board, and that's super necessary. For the time being, 4 mana after the coin for the Reckless that will kill 2 of the 3 minions in the board and do a decent job. Any evolves around? Like that Null is asking for an evolve. Any chance we get one from the top deck?
Let's see if we can get the mug pool. Another try. No. It feels bad because trading that 5-4 into the 3-5 would have been an awesome trade.
Yeah, you leave the ping. On the other side, you need to get rid of at least that schooling. Because, you know, it's turn 6 for the mage, you wanna just get your cheap spells off. And despite this, as you said, is just losing to the hero power. At least you don't lose to the barbaric sorcerers.
Yeah. Also on the Balinda's turn, it's great to be threatening with that Null, because it can be too scary for Dimitri to leave it alive. So if you can avoid the Balinda on 6.
Fair for that.
I
Oh,
bring the muscle and
time to
the
try. It's a 6 cost spell. The I think the most hurtful thing for Rami about that exchange is that I feel that. Well, I was saying that the Bloodlabs was not a good card in the matchup, but look at this, the value.
Lots of face damage here.
Yeah. I mean, it's just 21 damage straight to the face with a 7 health taunt in the way. And look at the top deck for Dmitry Kasov. This is amazing. This is just... Could we have anything better? But now Dmitry Kasov is up for the show. And he goes Rune of the Archmage with a Pyroblast going to a 1-1. Oh, wow. That's a bit of an overkill.
And wow.
Oh. Now we're talking.
Look at these skeletons.
And also the hero power, dealing 3 damage with a Reckless Apprentice in hand with a Magister Dawn Grasp. Watch out for that. Sparks are coming.
Do you deal face or do you summon taunts? Face damage, right? Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. 6 damage for the return, and now it's time for Dmitry Kasov to try to apply some counter pressure.
Alright. Without Don't Grab, Rami would have been a 2 hero power from Lethal, but here it's now 3 hero power, so that's a little bit too much. Oh, Lyra. Okay, no, it's
Wind chill.
Spell, so they are not best.
Yeah, there's no there's only one pre-spell that can go phase, and it's Wild, and well, 2 actually, like counting Mind Blast and Holy Ripple, like 5 and 1, but never enough.
Yeah. Oh, there is the Shard, the 4 mana that can deal 4 fights with.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that was in standard. The old days of playing Shadow Priest, Aggro Shadow Priest. Wait, is Dmitry silencing the board in order to activate his Arcane Burst hero power and increasing? This is an interesting play. This is like a... I don't know if it's the correct play, but it's a shiny one, you know? Now he will deal 8 with the hero power. This Die Insect.
Yeah. Dmitry Krasov dealing more damage with his hero power. Then Rane should be on the side for him. But
Neptulon once
back.
again.
Yeah.
The thing is that we're facing lethal damage with Mordresh and the ping to the face. This is just inevitable. Next turn doesn't matter. Like, I even think that this flash shield doesn't even matter.
Yeah, 10 plus 8 is 18, so it's more than 16.
Your training has paid off.
No. No Shaman
Not a
Sweep.
single chance. No Shaman Sweep. And we will get to see once again maybe a new Rune of the Archmage, maybe some powerful dragons, or let's see what Rami brings up to the board, because we also seen like Druid makes some magic in some spots where he was two health points out of losing the game and being able to recover. So time for that. Oh no, another signature deck for Rami, the Curse Iblock.
But yeah, it's now a popular deck, because yeah, lots of players are playing it on ladder, but I didn't even know it was from Rami, so I'm happy to...
Well, I mean, I'm not sure if this is Rami's deck. Palese is one of his favorite. It is the one he played it to legend. I think he didn't invent it also, but I know he is very fond of the deck. Far watch post, turn 1 to try and disable a bit the initial game plan for Rami, who needs to tap because he doesn't have any other option available.
That's right. Feel groove.
Okay, coin for Kazov.
Touch and tap. That seems so bad. Maybe you can flame beam plus touch with another sim plus, so that way you can expect next turn being able to trade that watch post. I say expect because we know Dmitry Kasov has one of the new card types for this expansion, the Night Clock Phantom location to freeze that Flame Imp. And AtomiK, do you think it should be possible to freeze a Flame Imp? I mean, it's already in flames.
It's like a duel between who is the colder or the hotter.
Yeah.
Because if the cold is more cold than the hot is hot, it is okay to freeze it.
Yeah, that's true. At least you just need to throw a bucket of water into it before freezing it. But, well, time to look at turn 4 for Dmitry Kasov, who needs to set his plan, but not sure if the best way, like if he's fearing by library or if he could go with deep water evoker to set up stuff. Oh, I haven't thought about Okani.
But yeah, it's not trade on board, so if you are... But would you like to deny a minion or a spell?
I think a minion, because that's what you... That's harder for your opponent to play. I guess, or at least given the reads you have.
You can...
They didn't have any early game minions.
Rami can coin Abyssal if he's trading first. And then he can replay
Interesting.
Abyssal thanks to Lady Darkvein.
Oh, the curses. That's a great mechanic, and then he'll have M King Rafam also as a follow-up for the turn.
And it will be lots
This
of
is powerful.
Abyssal, yeah. And also, yeah, like the Darkvein Death Rattle can help to clear some boards. So, great synergy here.
The question
for
is that, right? Because do you develop before, or you just play Lady before? Because they are like kind of like numbos. They don't work well with each other. You cannot just throw the Imp King Rafam and then the Lady, then the Lady Darkbane, because one will kill the other.
Alright, so what can Dimitri can deal with that board? He can't do anything right just to clean the board, he can just gain some armor. He's still far from Mod Rush.
The only thing he can do is like getting like huge amount of armor, but he will need to get a lot of time in order to get to that Rune of the Archmage that I think would be what might help balancing things out for Dmitry Kasov.
Okay, you really want to play Darkvein before playing your Dragged Below, because without minion on board, the Death Rattle is not triggering, so you are not giving curse to your opponent. Also, it can target your own minions, so you really want the IOE on Lady Darkvane.
Well, but Rami deflected a bit from that plan because he casted the Impending Catastrophe, which is a shadow spell, so no
Yeah, oh.
Lady Bane for a while at least.
Yeah, you're right, but Impending is also great to recast from ladies. Drawing 2 cards is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I think card draw is not the main problem. Right now, Rami needs to find like a way to keep pressuring. Like I think he was looking for a buy library here in order to send Shift Face some huge amount of damage, and he didn't find that. So that might be a problem. Some tradables. Belinda. Well, Belinda is playable now with 1 Rune of the Archmage and 1 Darkfire Amulet.
Do you take me for an ordinary mage?
Is this what Dmitry Kazov needs to stay on game? There is 15 coming,
Yeah.
but he has a 9-10 on board.
And Rami
And
can-
potentially 2 Pyre Explosions from the Rune of the Archmage.
Rami can just go face because 9 damage is scary. Because that mage have some burst thanks to the hero power later on the game, so you can't take too much damage.
Talking about damage, look how fast those curses start upgrading, and this will mean that... Oh no, he's not burning a card because the Abyssal Curse ends first. And... what do you... freeze first and then go box? Can you take 7 damage next turn? I guess you cannot, so... maybe save up some mana for those curses.
Yeah. Card draws, it's not what you want. Not the good freeze.
This is a bit better, like having some... well, this is what I'm talking about. Flame Strike.
My hand is too full.
And wait! Look at that! The amulet is playable! It's not going for the amulet, Sag. Like, I mean... yeah, you have to, like, risk it for the biscuit. If you just play defensively, the curses will eventually get you. Like, this is your window of opportunity of just taking the ward and shipping the damage phase.
You are totally right.
Lethal setup. Tamsin. Is there a lethal for Dmitry Kazov, for Rami? His opponent is at 19. He will receive 9 damage, but it will only have space for 1 curse next turn. So at best, it will just deal 12 in total. So Dmitry Kazov cannot die next turn. So we need to clear. Tamsin? And just spray?
It's not doing that much, isn't just
Well-
the cool more health?
Yeah, right. You're correct because Sakul will does not only benefit from the curse he sends, but the other curses that are on hand. So this way is just 12 health more for Rami, which will allow him to go out of range.
Yeah. Yeah, some health point for Rane. Only
Still
7.
6 off, 5 off with the hero power. Do we box it again?
At the end,
We're dead to
right.
2 curses.
Rami has the 2 curses in hand.
I mean, I don't feel this game is going over turn 10, so if I were Dmitry Kasov, I would say just, okay, I'll either get lucky or I either die. And I think he thinks the same because he's going for it. The only consideration is if shipping the last whelp or using the location to invoke a skeleton that could eventually translate into damage. Stuff is playable. And this should be game. Rami has the last curse he needs to close the game.
Let the ritual of absolution commence.
And how not with a...
It's also working that way.
Yep. Some extra damage for the mix, and this is game. This is 3-1 for Rami. My favorite player. He had my bless and he won 2-0. So, Max League players, you know what to do if you want to keep winning in the tournament. You just send me a DM and we can arrange something.
Okay, I will ask the players if they want to join us for post-match interview.
It was nice to have that show match despite the competitive side of the group being over because both players were in the next stage. Still having to see, getting to see decks after a patch, it's so rewarding because you get to see different decks like Rami's Evolved Shaman and also test the power level of other decks after the changes, which is also good. We're all bored of seeing rogues on ladder, so this is a nice break.
Yeah, totally agree. So asking the players if they want to join us.
Let's see if they are up to a winner and loser interview. Well, they are both winners. This is actually the winners interview because they both made it to the next round. So super happy about that. There will be no sad faces.
I hope so.
Let's see
And they are up to.
if Rami and Dmitry Kasov are there. I know Rami. I was checking some messages and I saw Rami just poking Dmitry Kasov on one of our WhatsApp groups to make sure he played that last match, to make sure he had the time to.
Oh, sorry, I cut you.
No, no problem.
You talk. But okay, we are calling the players, so they should join us very soon.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Hello. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. Congratulations to both of you for reaching the next stage of the Max League 6.
Thank you.
So, how fun was to play this last game? Because it was not. Yeah, we can hear. I mean, can you hear us?
Oh, yeah, I can now. Sorry.
Yeah, you were on speakers. Yeah. Too good. It was you were just playing too good not to fail when the interview came. But besides that, congratulations on winning the group. And how fun was to play this last match, being relaxed and knowing that you were on the next stage.
No, there was actually a lot of pressure for me. Like, I had to prove that the Evolved Shaman is actually a good deck, so there was a lot of pressure, I can assure you.
Well, it was 100% win rate deck for this series. Well, kind of. When he won.
I mean, when I tweeted, I will say that, of course, I won 6-0 with it, but...
It was a 6-0. The game, the Mother Edge was just a meme.
So besides that, on your first match, how did you felt against Nalgidan? They were both close series. So Dmitry Kasove was your first match on the on yours was the first match on broadcast. How did you feel this new meta, and were you a bit surprised to have the rogue opened after the bans?
Yeah, it was kind of surprised because Row is, especially in last hero standing, and I think it's a really good deck. It can beat everything with a good opener. But he decided to ban Mage, which I think is correct for me. For the second ban, like it's Rogue or Mage, I think are the best classes right now. And yeah, I started a bit nervous with Druid, but then I focused better and yeah.
Was that because there was just people bothering you in the house? I saw that there were some intruders in the background.
Yeah, it was some intruders working and doing annoying stuff.
Impossible to play like that.
I had a question also on my side for Rami.
Yeah.
You decided to queue Ramp Druid against the aggro. Was it aggro priest or aggro druid? Rane, can you
Against Naga Priest.
Against Naga
It
Priest,
was.
yeah. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
I mean, after I lost with Evolved Shaman, I was quite sure that I was going to lose that series. Like, both of my decks were bad against Naga Priest. I had the Curse Warlock, which is like a 40% matchup against Priest. And actually, Ram Druid is almost 45% win rate against Naga Priest. So, I mean, it sounds weird, but at least based on what the stats says, I had to queue Ram Druid there, and it was not a favorable matchup, but it was still quite decent, even better than with the Curse in Warlock.
Okay, yeah.
True, looking for the high roll there.
Yeah, I mean, I also had the Silence in my deck, so I was like, okay, maybe I can win this if he has a not so good hand, and I high roll getting all the ramp plus the silence, and that's exactly what happened. So that's good for me, I guess. I was quite fortunate there.
Yeah, it was. Okay. Also, I have another one for Dimitri against Rami with your mage. You decided to play box over reckless in the first game with your mage, I think, against Rami Shaman. Was it because it was a show match, or you really thought that the mage box was better than reckless to clean the small board?
Yeah. So I played the first reckless already, so I think I needed the second reckless after Barden because I think the box was good there because it completes my mana and it's almost a board clear. Like it wasn't a big board to clear, so I say the reckless before after I play Barden to set up little.
Okay.
And also I had Mordech in hand, so to improve the hero power.
Okay, right. Yeah, interesting to hear you about that, because yeah, with Rane we were asking if it was the best play or if it was the funniest play, but okay, fair enough.
Maybe a mix of both. That was the serious answer.
All right.
Well, one more before we go. If you both saw Nelligan's aggro druid, what do you think about that deck? It's something that I wasn't seeing before the patch, and now I saw some on ladder right now on the on this tournament. What do you think about that deck? Without just demolishing Nalgidan, you already did that in the games.
No, like yesterday I played versus that deck versus No Hand Gamer. That was the first time I faced that deck, and like I was expecting the Natrius the whole game. Like he has a card in hand, and I think, well, just play the Natrius and kill me, and like he start to draw and fatigue, and then like what the fuck is this deck? Like he played a lot of minions, but the Natrius wasn't there. But yeah, I think like it looks weird. Token Druid with 40 cards, but maybe it's good. I don't know. I didn't try it.
How about you, Rami? What do you think about the deck? Can you make it good?
I mean, I think that the deck needs Dinathrius and Kael'thas. So I would make it more like the Imp Warlock that Dimitri was playing. So maybe with those two cards only, it would be way better because of the hero potential that Kael'thas plus something plus the Dinathrius has. So maybe just adding those two cards to that deck will make it way better than what it is right now. And yeah, I felt that like if he had the Nathrius in his deck, maybe he would have won some games. Like that's what I felt. I mean, he also missed lethals, but well, that's not so.
Look at that! And we said, and we were saying they were friends before starting the match. Well, they were before the series, at least.
Also,
Just kidding. Dimitri, are you confident for this weekend in GM? You were. Did you have the time to practice? Are you confident with your? Are you happy with the decks you choose for that?
Yes, I'm happy with the decks. I need to practice a bit better Druid, but the other decks I think I'm playing it correctly. And yeah, I like the decks I sent. Like I tried some Demon Hunter list, like try to bring another classes like the buffs and all the stuff that coming this patch. But I didn't have enough time to find a good Demon Hunter deck. Maybe there is, but and the other GMs neither find a good DH list. So yeah, we sent what we think is safe, I think, or what we know that is good.
Well, good luck on next week, AtomiK. I'm not sure. I'll sending the ball to your court to see if you have any other questions or you're on the control. So, just let me know what follows.
I don't have the question. Maybe one of the players want to add something, or is it good for you?
No, it's good for me. Nice broadcast. And
All right.
thanks for the invite.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Thanks for having us here.
Okay, so thank you very much for joining us. Whatever, it's very likely that we will see again each other in the next stage of the Max League, because you are both qualified for the main stage. So I wish you good luck there, and also good luck for you in your future tournaments.
Thank you. See you later.
See you
Bye.
later. Bye.
Bye, Rane.
Bye. See you tomorrow, Dimitri.
See ya.
See.
Right, so we are done for the post-match interview. So I hope you spent a good moment with us on the Max TV. Thank you very much, Rane, for being with me tonight. It was a great pleasure to cast this beautiful Hearthstone with you.
The pleasure is mine, as every time. Like, I don't have enough as much time as I would like to. So sometimes I cannot be here, but every time I'm able to join this amazing broadcast, cast this incredible players, and be a part of the competitive scene, I love to do it. And there's different ways to this. You can cast, you can just make content and stuff, but finding something that allows you to interact with other people is just the way I found to enjoy Hearthstone more. Either like casting with someone, or playing with someone, or doing extra stuff. That's so much more rewarding than just playing the game. So thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a great way to find some refreshing things in Hearthstone. So yeah, it was a pleasure to have you with me tonight. So what is next on Max TV? So on the next week, we will have the others confrontation of the main stage this time. So on Tuesday, casted by Cool Kid, we will have 2 confrontations, and then I will be there twice on the Max TV, both on Wednesday and Thursday, to have other matches on the main stage. So be sure to be there on the next week to see who will manage to go through in the main stage. Only the players who qualified through the pre-qualification and the qualification stage are still alive on the Max League, so only great players, even if there were only great players in the qualification stage. So thank you very much, everybody who were there tonight, and see you very soon. Goodbye.